Hey everyone, it's Dia here, and I've got a very special update to share with you all. Heading into Year 6, the ALGS team have been working hard behind the scenes to make the viewing experience better than ever. Let me show you around the newest addition to the ALGS website, the ALGS multiview. After signing in with your EA account, you'll be able to watch up to 12 streams at once during every single ALGS event. Each team has its own dedicated observer and comms that you can listen to. Viewers will even be able to vote for which player's POV they want to watch. You can customize your layout, add custom Twitch streams, and even draw over them with built-in tools. Team and individual stats will be easily accessible in the sidebar, updating in real time. And just like on Twitch, you can clip your favorite moments as they happen. And yes, you are still eligible for Twitch drops. Now keep in mind that the ALGS multiview tool is still in beta, so as we continue improving the experience, we want your feedback. Please share it using the button that you'll find in the bottom right of your screen. Now this tool is free to use, and it'll be available for every single ALGS event. So log on, find your favorite POVs, and tune in for the best viewing experience that ALGS has to offer.
Hey, what's good everybody? It's your girl Clara, and I'm here to bring you your top 5 community plays of the week, starting with number 5. We've all got that one friend that never takes Frank seriously.
What? No. Brother.
And sometimes all you can do is laugh.
There's no way.
Here in clip number 4, we got Trep with the Kraber. Oh, headshot to the dome. Looking for the next victim. He knows there's another guy on the low ground, but he doesn't want to throw the game and ruin his teammates' RP. Boom! 150. Hit another. Waiting for the last guy to come out of zone. Bang! Headshot to the dome. Here we are. We're scouting around trying to see if we see anybody else. Next victim secured. Bang! Beautiful shots there with the Kraber. Here in clip number 3, we got the Greasy Weasel hitting the boom. Bang. Last one. Wow. I know my friend Caution would be proud of those. And in number 2, we got the Car and the Sentinel. Takes one down, plus 5 points for being on Mountain Key. Beautiful jump headshot. Last one for the win. And he secures the dub for his team. And in number 1, we've got a Rampart Scrims clip here. We've got the Sheila fully loaded, staring at the enemies. Walls go down. He's gonna hit a nice 126 spray there. Newcastle wall comes out. Rebuild our walls here. Beautiful 126 spray. Finds one in the back. Hits him to one shot. Secures the kill there. Gets 2 down. Last one. And a good celebration from the squad.
Oh my god!
Alrighty guys, that'll conclude this week's top 5 community plays. If you too want to get involved, make sure that you head over to the ALGS website, click on the community tab, and submit your clips to maybe be featured here next week. I'm Claire at work, and I'll see you guys next time.
Settle it, look at the life that we relish, I'm telling it. I'm the star of the show and the regiment. Can't stop me, bro, ain't no pedaling. Ain't no riding the wave, staring right in your face. You know where I'm getting it. This ain't back in the days. Get ready for more and more, ain't no meddling, no. Gotta know what my head is for sure. I had a show when I was young, I had my back on the ropes. Looking like I never had her on roll. In school of hard knocks, I get hard drops. Got drive even when the car stops. I don't watch it if they let me. Ain't no get ready when you stay ready, let's go.
Play your game, hold on, I'm holding on, play your game. Press the Q, hit the Q, swing this guy.
Fly now.
Chill, skill, fly. Land in my knock. Land in my knock. Yeah. Winnable. 1v1. Good, you win this. You win this. Swing it, swing it. Nice. Nice. Let's go. No shit. Holy.
That is my go.
That's how we clutch it up, baby.
What a sick way that was to end match day 4. And if you want to hear more about it, make sure to stick around for our halftime show with Snipe Down later on, where he will be breaking down that winning moment. And hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Apex Legends Global Series. It's now match day 5 here for the Americas. And after what we saw today out of EMEA, I cannot wait to get into some more Apex Legends action. I am your host, Glitter Explosion, and I've got Onset and Gaskin back with me as well, ready to go. Mark, what are you looking forward to out of the Americas?
It's going to be difficult to match what EMEA did a little bit earlier. I want to see if anyone's going to step up, because we had 4 separate records broken in EMEA. I'm going to give Zuni a shout out, by the way, because 4 records broken in one game. Go and watch game 2 of earlier on Citadel Gaming. Unbelievable. Question is, can Americas do something similar? Because I want to see more records broken now. I've got a taste for it, and I feel like Americas is slightly competitive when it comes to that sort of thing, and I think they want those records back.
Well, something Americas have done that EMEA haven't is we have seen one team actually find multiple wins in one match day, and that is Stallions. They're the only team across both regions to get 2 wins in one match day.
Love that. Good shout, Dan. And that's why we're going to be highlighting them a little bit later on today. Quite the performances out of them. And I know it's only been a week, but we have some updates to give everybody before we get into our action today. One of those big updates being our current world champions have been picked up by Sentinels. Sentinels is back in Apex Legends. Mark, this is a big deal.
Welcome to Sen City, to the boys. Fun, Blinkshaw, and Monsoon finally have a home, and I think that is a very well-deserved home for them. Going into champs, of course, no org. Coming out of champs, now they found one, and you can see Monsoon sporting the new threads, looking good in the Sentinels red. Just like that, everything changes. We're back. We're here to bring NA back, baby. Let's go. Trying to keep my job here, everyone. Let's go.
And honestly, this is so well deserved. Where people were talking about, why haven't they been signed yet? Who are they going to be signed by? They're literally the world champions. They deserve to be on an org, and they get exactly that. Huge dub for the boys. And it's not the only team that's been picked up since then. Okay, we also have DKK now becoming GK Esports, who's also returning here to Apex Legends. Gaskin, I mean, what a win for these guys.
DK into GK, it's a pretty easy transition for us on the commentary team, but I'm so glad someone has picked up this roster. I was astounded that they weren't already on an org of some sort. When you look at the pure history of this team, from the players and of course JMO as the coach as well, I have very high expectations for this team, and GK should be very happy they've been able to pick up a team like this.
Yeah, keep the orgs coming, guys. Get more. Come on, come join us here on the ALGS side of things as we take a look at our Pro League standings for where all of our teams are right now. NIP has been at the top 56 total points, though, and followed by the team we've now mentioned a couple times. Right behind them is Stallions at 51 points, and this entire leaderboard is neck and neck, Mark. It is so close in this region.
It certainly is indeed, and I think you got your eyes down on ROC and Team Burger, if you're me, because they're the teams who are closest to the teams who have played 3 series who haven't played three series. Only 2 for ROC, only 2 for Team Burger. So they have a real chance to jump up those leaderboards today and really find themselves in a solid position headed into the second half of this split.
We have a lot of things to be paying attention to today, and the groups that we're going to be watching specifically are groups A and C. So lots of our teams, we just mentioned them. Sentinels are going to be in here. NIP, our team at the top, is going to be in here. This is a pretty stacked lobby. And if we're talking about some of our teams that have found themselves doing pretty well so far, Dan, but maybe, looking to do just a little bit more. Let's talk about Liquid a little bit, because we had so many storylines hinging on this squad when things first happened. The rosters were first split. Talk to me about what we've seen out of Liquid and specifically Panic.
Yeah, it's been interesting watching Liquid kind of come together, because I think there was big shoes to fill for Panic in particular, and you have to deal with Zero getting in your ear. We know how Zero is as an IGL. If things are going wrong, he's gonna let you know it's going wrong. If you make a mistake, he's gonna go in at you and he's gonna try and make you improve, but it's a little bit of heavy love, to put it in one way. And I think that Panic has had to adapt to that. He's had to learn that, and sometimes that can be a little bit difficult if you come into a dynamic. Previously, he was on a team where maybe there was a little bit less yelling and there was a little bit less aggression at certain times, but he is finding his footing a little bit. And Mark, we were mentioning that, you know, he's had to really change his playstyle as well on this team.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a transition. Obviously, you know, Panic made his name as a frontline fragger, playing the likes of Wraith, Alta, where he really did excel. But it's been a bit of a role swap on the team recently. A couple of different players trying different roles and seeing what was going to work. And Panic's actually been playing a lot of Watson, Caustic, and some of the more kind of anchoring legends, as well as some Mad Maggie. So I'm interested to see if that's a decision just to kind of rein him in a little bit, give Zero that frontline fragging role on some of those legends. And I think it's a smart thing to do. If you're in that learning process at the top level of Apex Legends, when you're on a team that expects to win, you are a brilliant shooter. Nobody is doubting that, his fragging ability. But if you can anchor and make sure that you're limiting your mistakes, I think that's going to help the overall picture of Team Liquid and help them improve as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been nice to see, you know, Sparks what they're capable of, and hopefully they'll be able to continue that throughout the rest of the split. But on the flip side of things, a team that's definitely maybe struggled just a little bit more than what a lot of us would have initially thought is Shopify, Mark, and that's just kind of surprising.
Yeah, I mean, asterisks by this for Shopify Rebellion. Had some connection issues in some weeks. It's been tough for them. It's the one, like, uncontrollable for them, right? Is like having internet issues when you're trying to compete. But if you look at the facts, which is all we can do right now, is how many points they've put on the board, regardless of the situation. What it does mean, they need to have a brilliant second half of this split if they want to qualify for LAN. It would be weird to not see Shopify Rebellion representing the Americas when we get to the Split 1 playoffs. You can see Zainu here. He's pointing directly at Spectrum and their engineers and the infrastructure, because he said, top 5 worst days of my life, thanks. At Get Spectrum. He was not happy, understandably so. It's a frustrating thing, but now hopefully things have started to sort themselves out. They've looked a little bit better in scrims recently as well. They had a match day, a scrim win recently, which I think will just boost the confidence. And I believe in Shopify Rebellion. There's too much talent on this team to fail, and I really want to see them have a good day today.
Absolutely. I mean, it's always hard when things out of your control are going wrong. So we're definitely looking to see them bounce back. But we're also going to do a little bit of a head-to-head here, Dan, because there's some history between this, and we're doing a little bit of a contrast here against Crazy Thieves.
Yeah, of course, Phony used to be Zainu's IGL, but then there was the big breakup after this team won LAN under SSG, and then the team broke up, and then these two went separate ways, and now they IGL their own 2 rosters. As we move away from Shopify Rebellion and their hopes and expectations, now we go into Crazy Thieves, who haven't been able to play with their full 3 yet so far. But Jen Burton is back in the Americas, and it means that we are going to be able to see them back as their full team today. So I'm expecting big things from both of these teams. I would not be surprised if Mystic Mark told us that both 1 and 2 today are going to be Shopify Rebellion and 100 Thieves.
He's never living it down.
I was once given a great piece of advice, which is I don't have to comment on everything. And I'm going to apply that to this situation.
If you want to know what we're talking about, you're going to have to go back and check out that EMEA vibe, because out of nowhere, Mark's predictions are now spot on and correct.
Out of nowhere?
Out of nowhere.
I mean,
you've always got them wrong previously.
So, well, actually, I never do them.
He conveniently was never on the predictions
I never do them.
previously.
And now you can see why. It's spoilers. In the words of the great Paul Heyman, this is not a prediction, it's a spoiler. So there you go.
I love it. I love it. And chat, just a quick reminder, of course, make sure you're following along with us on social media at Play Apex Esports on X, YouTube, Insta, and TikTok, and at Play Apex on Twitch. As long as you do that, you won't miss a single second of any of the action we have, not only coming up for the rest of the split, but throughout the rest of the year, because I feel like things are starting to heat up with this meta, with these regions, and hopefully with the rest of this split. And we get to find out exactly how things are going to go here in the Americas right now, because match number 1 is about ready to get underway. So on set, guys, let's kick off the Americas.
Let's do it, and let's check out what maps we're going to be doing our work on today. Map rotation is in front of you. E-District is where we start off, Dan, for our first 3 matches for the Americas before we change over to Olympus for the back 3.
Yeah, so 2 things for me. One interesting thing about Groups A versus C is we do not feature Falcons and Legacy, who are the two top performing teams on E-District throughout the entirety of America's Pro League. So that does open things up for the likes of Stallions, Rock, DINOS, and Full 11, who have all been able to find success previously, but now those points aren't going to be gobbled up as well. Now, as we look across who's prioritized what when it comes to the POI draft, you can see Liquid over at Boardwalk. That doesn't surprise me too much, because Boardwalk, actually, if you look statistically across the most successful POI in Pro League, it has been one of the best. So they're looking to try and pick up some big points today before we switch over to Olympus. And then my final comment, just to set us up here, remember, Sentinels now are featuring the world champions, the Oblivion roster. They've been picked up. They just won scrims yesterday. Is this a org buff for them coming into Pro League?
Well, let's find out. They're dropping over at Vibe Isle, and I can't think of a better place to meet Fun, Blinkster, and Monsoon. I feel like if they were going to have an address, it would be Vibe Isle. So we're going to have to see how they can get on here on E-District. Excited to get into the action today. Hopefully everybody who's watching is as well. And Dan, I'm also got my eyes on the old Crazy Thieves down on the southern side, because Jen is back. Stunning shout out to you for filling in and doing what you managed to do on very short notice, but it's great to see the full roster back again.
It is. There is going to be expectations as well for this team, though. Now you're back as a proper full three without a substitute, so you have to perform. This is a big moment, I think, for Crazy Thieves to show us what they're made of. As I said, both Shopify Rebellion and Crazy Thieves are going to have eyes on, expectations, a lot of pressure on the shoulders, but can you live up to it? As well as, of course, Sentinels with Oblivion being on that new org. This is a fantastic chance to show why you were able to do it. In scrims, Oblivion, now Sentinels, did win 2 matches in that match day of scrims. So can they do that and try and replicate what only Stallions have done so far in this region?
Well, let's start off with a little bit of POV from Sentinels, the newly signed Sentinels. Great to see Sen back. Great to see the boys getting the love that they deserve as well after their phenomenal performance back in Sapporo. It's still crazy to think about, honestly, like that performance for LCQ to literally world champions is a story that will live with us for a long time for sure. And just great to see them once again back on the screen, as I say, being represented, having a little bit of money in their pockets, and get exactly what they deserve. Also want to highlight a little bit of legend ban and picks, because there's something very interesting that we've noticed throughout scrims, Dan, and that is the impact that Team Burger have on their first game comp.
Yeah, Team Burger are just one of those teams that tries to play things a little bit different when it comes to these legend bans. They try and play Wraith instead of the Altar to ensure that Crypto gets banned, so that going into match 2, they can play that baby comp, because baby comp is just such a comfort pick for them, but of course Crypto being one of the main counters to it. So if you can force that ban to go on the other side, then suddenly you are going to be in such a good position to try and play baby comp for as long as possible. But we have seen Mad Maggie comes into the equation as well, another counter to that baby comp in a way, by destroying that bubble. So we'll have to see how that affects things as we look forward to legend bans here now.
Well, it's interesting to see where the zone's going to be going. City Hall, very similar to what we saw in the first game of EMEA a little bit earlier on, actually, where we did see a zone pulling down to the south. Sometimes we see them pulling just outside of the bridge, down on the kind of the low ground ramps in the water. Free Thinkers are bang in the center of City Hall right now. Shopify Rebellion, a great opportunity for them here, Dan. They do get good prio on this zone, and for Shopify, that might just be a good comfort pick.
And just to confirm, you can see there, Burger are on Wraith, and Crypto did beat out Alter by just 1. So it has worked successfully. The plan in action for Burger, and it means now Crypto will be banned, and it will allow them to play that baby comp going into match 2 and onward. Will that increase the amount of Maggies? That remains to be seen. Right now, we only have 5 Maggies in the game, and we saw earlier that mammoth game from Citadel in EMEA. A lot of that was down to Mad Maggie being a factor, and we even saw a Mad Maggie ban come in later. How oppressive she's been at the moment in this meta, so we'll see whether America follow suits. I know in scrims, Maggie did face a ban in game 5 as well.
Yeah, it's getting very tight on the bans. It's usually 1 or 2 a lot of the times, even in scrims. So when it comes to match day, people sometimes thinking ahead, trying to think of what the ban's going to be, playing something different, and it throws the whole ban process off. So going to be interested to see how that does go. Full 11 though, just trying to kind of predict things. One thing you can't do is predict full 11 a lot of the time. Very aggressive on edge of zone, like to take those fights, and they are inside of zone at the moment, just outside of City Hall, and might be looking to be aggressive early on here. Over at E-Bank though, right in the center of the map, you have Buckle Boys going in behind Ninjas in Pyjamas, and looking at this as well is Source Gaming, so Ninjas in Pyjamas got to be careful not to get pinched here.
So two teams to talk about. Full 11, last time when we saw A versus C, they finished dead last. And that was off the back of winning a match day previously and looking like this new gen team who was going to come in and shake up this region. And then they got absolutely bodied here. So this is going to be a good opportunity for them to make up for that. And speaking to them in an interview, they kind of said they got a little bit overwhelmed off the back of the win, struggled with some of their calls, got in their own heads, for example, and really did struggle moving forward. As we move on to NIP, who are #1 at the moment in this region, but in scrims yesterday or the day before, they looked very out of sorts. And I don't know if they were just trying a few new things, they were being a little bit off, but something did not look right. So I'm hoping that they can bounce back from those scrims and it was just a scrim thing rather than being a form thing.
Well, good news here for Crawlbuckle and Jay, the two brothers. Crawlbuckle can't go off the map quite yet. Sorry, Crawlbuckle, I had to bring it up. It was one of the funniest clips in ALGS history, and it really didn't affect the team too much, which is good news because I can bring it up time and time again. But one of my favorite moments for sure, just the reaction is like, my brother just jumped off the map. It was so good. It was so good. We've all been there. We've all been there. I don't have a brother, but I would get equally as annoyed if I did.
I mean, you've got close to it with some of the players you play with in ranked, and I'm sure that you've been in a similar situation.
I'm sorry I said that to you, Dan.
But Buckle Boys, another team who can definitely show up today as well. When we look at teams who've been performing well on E-District, Buckle Boys have been able to find points. I think 30% of the points have come from it, if I remember correctly. So this is a map that they certainly have prioritized as well with their draft.
Crazy Thieves, first time we see their POV. First time we're going to see a Gen POV. That was what I was looking for on the Mad Maggie. So he's going to be the aggressor for this team. Verholst is going to be playing on the Altar. Phoning the IGL, no surprise, is going to be on the Crypto. It looks like they're just taking their time right now. There is an Evo Harv I think they're looking to pick up right next to them. They've got DINOS inside of E-Bank themselves, so they've got to be careful with their back. And it looks like at the moment, Verholst is just trying to carve a path through for them, get that Void Nexus down for them to follow up on and join him on his way forward.
Just to follow up, it's 43% of Buckle Boys points on this map, which is 31 points. That's where I was getting the 30s from.
That's significant.
But they're up there with Stallions, with Rock, with Dinos, with Full 11 and Buckle Boys. They are all teams who have seemingly preferred E-District over other maps. And there's a few different things we can look at for that reason. E-District, in the way it plays, there are more buildings that you can kind of hunker down for, but also you can take advantage of other teams hunkering down in said buildings as well. A discussion we had with Jayhawk in EMEA was some of these teams who were able to just kind of burst through those walls, whether it's with Altar, whether it's with legends like Fuse, that you can just bombard someone who is in those places and think they're comfortable. You can pick up quite a bit of KP of unknowing players who are just waiting for that zone, and then you punish them out of nowhere, really.
I love the fact that we have had no action so far when it comes to the kill feed. That means we are going to have a lot of action upon the next zone close as everybody gets squeezed together into some uncomfortable spaces. It's, yeah, you watch scrims, you're like, oh, this is how the games are going. Then you're like, okay, this is not actually how the games go. JD Gaming and a pretty good split so far, but still looking for, I think, a little bit of improvement for what we've seen. Naughty's IGLing has been the highlight for some, a low light in some moments as well. I have to see if he can continue that upward trend though, and keep them in a position where they can qualify for LAN, because that's what it's all about. Remember, this is the road to the Split 1 Playoffs Pro League. After that regional finals is done and dusted. NIP up on height here over at Blossom Drive. Just trying to inch their way in for now. They've managed to get up to purple, so they're going to have all perks available on the Legends, but it's a pretty tough rotate for them down from the southern side.
Yeah, and once they make their way through S2, if they can, they're going to be facing against GK, who are waiting up towards Boardwalk and looking to try and pick apart a team. But remember, we started this show with a clip from Stallions winning match day 4, where they are the first team being eliminated here in our match 1. It was Team Burger who got the last pieces of that by the looks of it. And sadly, Stallions, they have to go back to the lobby and think about things.
Yeah, I think there was a combination of Shopify and Team Burger who actually contributed to those kills. Ninjas in Pyjamas looking for a much more straightforward 3v3. This is going to be S2 inside of this building. Lota's going to swing outside. Lota actually somehow manages to stay alive. A lot of damage being done, but Ninjas in Pyjamas, it feels like nobody really wanted to commit to swing there. And now Zach has turned it on its head. It felt like NIP had a massive advantage. Cole will go down as well, and Karev's left on his own.
Karev on his own and has to portal back. Can you then portal your teammates away, or will the finishes actually happen? Because GK are coming on in. Remember, they were just a little bit further ahead, and they're going to be able to maybe... No, both teams portal away, and both teams... just about survive until NIP just get cleaned up. So only in the end, S2 survive with NIP eliminated. So again, two heavy hitters taken out at the start of this game.
Well, the first thing Gen does back in Pro League is fall on his back. He's going to get taken down. Alter Qs are coming through. Verhos is going to get abducted through the walls. And all of a sudden, it's not looking good for the Thieves. They're trying to survive. A little Q away is going to allow them maybe to pop a battery here. And they might get fortunate with being able to reset. With Gen going down, medkit being popped here by Verholz before he even thinks about getting his teammate up. That knockdown is eating those grenades. Damatic's going to have a little pop at that one, but Verholz with some good shots to push him back.
That's a good hold from Verholz, and that is a fantastic example of what you need to do when you're being pressured at it as a team, when you have a teammate who's knocked as well. You need to be firing back. You can't just simply go for the res without firing back, otherwise you are just going to be jumped on. Phony's gone down in the kill feed though, so CRT still struggling. As we take a look over at the Buckle boys, they've lost Jay, so they're going to have to work things out as a 2 and potentially get him back up. But remember, Crypto's still alive for this game, so there is always that opportunity, as it's a similar situation for Crazy Thieves.
Well, Phony has been finished. The difficulty now for CRT is getting him back in the game. Verholst on the altar has the ability to grab a Moby, and as I say that, I'm pretty sure he just grabbed that off a nearby death box. Possibly his teammate's Phony, so he's going to be able to respawn him here. Going to be up to Jen Burton to hold for him. A couple of grenades fly their way. Jen gets taken down to no shields, but they will be able to just about stick it. But can they survive? Because here comes Elite having a look at this to overextend and see if they can pick one off.
Elite, who had some impressive matches during scrims as well. They'll be maybe having some confidence coming in, into this one. So Crazy Thieves just have to try and button down the hatches here and hold as a 2. But when you look at this comp, it's not the easiest comp to hold with. They don't have any defensive legends or any legends that can really set up and help them. Instead, it's a bit more aggro-based. Now, zone-wise, shifting up towards Team Burger, who are sat dead prime center of this zone. They were the team that planned this one out in terms of their ban so they could get to their comfort pick on the baby comp, but it looks like they're going to have the opportunity to get to late game here.
It's actually been pretty surprising. You know, we talked a lot about Team Burger and the baby comp and how they're trying to force it and how they play it, and it's completely right. But it feels like game ones, even in scrims, when they're not playing it, they have a lot of success. You know, we have to remember this isn't a team built around just a composition. This is a very, very talented team, and they are able to get it done. MT, one of the best zone readers that there is in the game, and he showed it right now. A fantastic zone read from them. Liquid in a pretty good spot at the moment, but look at S2. S2 are sneaking and deep into zone here, trying to wrap behind Liquid, and Liquid need to ensure that they watch their back. They do have the crypto and they have the drone up, but are they scouting forward or are they scouting backward? The evac now comes in from S2. This is a straight all or nothing play from them.
Liquid definitely were looking that way on the minimap. You could see the way the arrows were facing, and I think that they are well aware of S2's position, as you said, probably thanks to the crypto drone giving them that info, but it has worked enough for S2. They have been able to at least get into zone, find somewhere to call home, and this is a fantastic rotation. They are not in the next zone, but they are at least alive for now, and will be able to contest the likes of JD Gaming, who already found their position on the north.
I mean, that's a fantastic rotation. They're going to be able to just stay alive longer than the rest of the lobby, or the majority of the lobby, I should say, just from the fact that the zone is going to do a lot of damage for them. Zyno from distance onto Chaos. That's going to be another one taken down, and Shopify Rebellion popping through, saying hello and saying goodbye at the same time, picking up a couple of KP. Shopify Rebellion with a good, confident start to this game.
The GK are approaching that fight now, though, so we might see Shopify versus GK, depending on how GK try and plays this one. Rock Esports get eliminated as well. We're just seeing, it seems like every team eliminated is a heavy hitter at the moment, but that's this region. It's full of heavy hitters left, right, and center, as Crazy Thieves, who are back up to a 3, are able to rotate onto the southeast side, but they're being pushed now by Elite Esports, whilst also being watched over by Free Thinkers.
Jim Burton throws the Maggie ball down. He's going to get Sinzo, has to take the time to pop the battery to get healthy, and is a little bit isolated from the rest of his team inside of this hut. Dark is walking up behind him. He's going to be able to stand above him a few times and should be able to get that knock. Team Liquid now being pressured, or pressurizing, I should say, S2, as the fight continues here between Elite and CRT. And it looks like CRT have managed to get the better of them here, even though Jen is down.
Yeah, that was some Verhulst masterclass. I think he won a 1v1 and it forced Elite back, and they were going to try and portal to recover, but they denied, with Verhulst ensuring he finished that kill.
Hello.
But now can you survive? He does get a lot of damage for Phony, who has to do all this on his own now, does have knockdown shields to work with.
Yeah, that was the last player alive. That was a solo causing CRT problems, as if things weren't bad enough. Elite, by the way, did portal out, and that will be the end of Crazy Thieves. They are out early. They could never recover from the first time that Jen went down in that alley. A tough break for them in game one, but lots of Apex to be played today.
Elite were just a 2 in the end, but they still have Crypto up, so they should be able to grab that banner and get back up and safely hold this eastern side and be able to walk in ahead of the likes of Freethinkers, Buckle Boys, and Full 11. Now we look over to the world champions, the new look Sentinels, as they have been able to find a spot on this southwest side, but now with Blink going down, you might just struggle to stay alive here.
Yeah, that's a Kraber from distance. This time it's Madness who finds not just one, but two, and that's going to be Madness finding all three. Sentinels eliminated. Not the start they would have wanted to have in this match day for the new org.
I think we saw exactly the same thing happen in exactly the same position in EMEA Game 1 earlier as well, if I remember correctly. It is just a deadly position when you get caught in that bridge as Full 11 get eliminated. As we look now to Shopify Rebellion. How do they respond after some pretty poor performances by their own standards, as now they look to try and capitalize on some of the damage done? But again, it's Madness just being a thorn in the side.
I mean, there is two Krabers in play right now, but one of them is doing a lot of work, and it's in the hands of Madness. SR will have to queue down to the low ground. Zainu barely healthy. Elite Esports will be eliminated, as all of a sudden we're down to 9 squads, and Shopify might be next, as Koiful tries to juggle himself through a couple of portals to survive.
It's Liquid on the other side of it, and Panic has gone down as well on that Maggie. So now they're going to have to stay alive as a duo here, unless they can try and get him back up. But they probably need to push the remainder of Shopify, which they will. The cleanup crew comes through. Zero does find one, but I think the last winning player did escape, and Panic is back up on his feet. So good job from Zero.
Top 6 for Team Liquid. A Shopify Rebellion will be eliminated, but a decent start for them. A confidence-boosting start for them. As you've seen, Team Burger trying to overextend here and see if they can cause a little bit of a ruckus on the bridge side of the map. Freethinkers still alive as well. They were based in City Hall. They're down on the southern side, right next to Buckle Boys. JD Gaming, Team Burger, and Team Liquid are your final 3 teams. And at the moment, it's still Team Burger with a great spot. JD Gaming, though, have the most space. All of the north side belongs to them, but Buckle Boys and Cruel Buckle's got a Kraber.
Yeah, and of course, the Krabers are going to play a big part in this, but it is Buckle Boys and Freethinkers who have to move the furthest in this one. Buckle Boys will have to go over the Bridge of Doom before they get closer to the zone, but the trouble is you get kind of sandwiched between 3 teams if you try and go down this way. So they might want to try and rotate left, but if they did that, they would get caught out by Liquid. So if you can time it correctly, wait for Liquid to move up a little bit, shadow them behind Liquid, hope that Liquid take the fight against Burger, and then you might be able to third it and take their position.
Well, Team Liquid will be safe in the little corner that Sykes finds himself in. 5 squads, by the way. So there's a lot of room for these teams to really play. You can see why there's barely any fighting happening. It's because everyone took each other out in the last 60 seconds or so. Just looking at composition, looking at armors. Liquid in a pretty good spot. Over armor 4-0 as well, as Cruel Buckle down this low ground is trying to line up a couple of heads. The man's offering free haircuts.
So much variety in terms of legend compositions as well. Freethinkers have a Catalyst and a Seer to work with, which could really impact this final zone. Think of the Seer queues over and over again, as well as that ultimate for the extra info as Buckle Boys. The first team have to move in, and they are struggling a little bit, already losing 1.
Yeah, Kuzmi's gone down, so it's down to the 2 brothers, Jay and Cruel Buckle, to see if they can rescue this game. Jay's going to fly in and try and capitalize on some damage, but it was looking like that will be the end of their game. Buckle Boys will be eliminated as Team Liquid contribute to a couple of those kills, but it's Team Burger and JD Gaming who do get credited with them. JD Gaming still overextending, trying to pinch here, and Floating is going to commit to this shot, but it's costing him. But he should be able to be dragged back here. I like the off angle, though, and I like the commitment to hold out Team Liquid and cause them a problem.
Anyone able to get an angle on it? That's going to be the real question. You can see Jet was trying to find an angle, but Shubi defended it successfully. And now Burger come out to play to try and win this one.
That's 2 for Jet, but Slayer does the majority of the damage, and JD by overextending now may have been made to pay. Floating makes the mistake, tries to survive. 2 squads now remain. It's going to be Team Virga versus Team Liquid in a 3v3 to win it, Dan.
Yeah, and Liquid are very healthy as well. Panic gets in first and he gets the first knock.
Panic. The entry fragger by trade gets the entry frag in this big moment. And then the wrecking ball comes through, and then the wrecking crew comes through as Team Liquid will win match number 1. They will be your champions here on E-District.
It's about time, I think, for Liquid to see what they can do. When this roster was built, I fell in love with these 3 players all being together. It just seemed like the perfect blend of everything you could want. But of course, it meant adjustments in certain play styles and people having to play in different ways they maybe weren't used to. But now it has all come together for a first game match win here in match day 5. And maybe Liquid can carry on and use this momentum. But that was very interesting end game. They were given that opportunity because of the overextending that we saw from JD Gaming as well there, Mark.
Yeah, just got a little bit greedy. Sometimes it happens, right? Floating just thought, I've got this kill. It's a guaranteed kill. But in those end games, you're never quite sure who's looking at you. As soon as you fire first, you draw that attention towards you. And Liquid, by drawing that attention, get that... Well, someone got that knock onto Floating, and then all of a sudden, the team who has the most space and has Godspot, well, they're going to get challenged. Team Burger accept the 2v3, which allows Liquid to reset. And then Panic gets that first bit of entry damage, follows up with a beautiful wrecking ball as well to clear the way. And it's a beautifully called and executed game of Apex Legends coming in from Team Liquid. And Zero, you have to say, is at the helm with 8 KP, 20 points. Perfect start for them.
Yeah, they couldn't have asked for a better start. But now the question is, without Crypto, how does this change some of the dynamic for these rosters? Because you won't have that freedom and that information that you had in match 1. But Liquid can certainly use it to their advantage. And we'll probably see plenty of baby comp now coming into this next one here, Glitter.
I feel like it happened in EMEA as well, but the teams that we talked about at the top of show, or that we started creating storylines around for the day, instantly would pop off in the match after. And we just saw that out of Team Liquid, getting the win to kick things off here in the series. So is it Mystic Mark, or are we just you know, in a good groove for the day right now when it comes to our matches? Because I mean, both those teams looked phenomenal.
It's almost as if me no-lifing Apex Legends and only watching every second of the thing that exists bears fruit sometimes. Sometimes it does. Not surprised. Liquid have looked good in scrims. So, you know, it's a good game 1 performance from them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Another team that did well, this time around, it was the team that did well last week, was Nice Guys. We've got a tweet here from Sang. Did well today. 2nd place stings. Keep thinking about what I could have done better, but can't complain about a top finish. Also, top 3 kill leader is cool. That is an understatement, to be sure. And since they're not playing today, we decided to bring Sang in so we could chat and talk about that performance. Sang, welcome to the show. We're very excited to have you.
What's up, everyone?
All right. Now talk to me about last week, because not only did you guys find yourself in 2nd place with a really strong day, but you as an individual, I think you had 15 kills. You're talking about that kill leaderboard. You were crushing it that day.
Well, we decided to start implementing Wraith into our comp. We play heavy zone, but we started playing a more kill zone. So we started playing Maggie, Alter, and then once Alter's banned, we started implementing Wraith. I run around third party, do whatever I want in the POI. So long as I don't die, I'm kind of just let off a leash, and I just run around, look for kills around our area. And honestly, it was working really well for us.
I want to talk a little bit about that, because I feel like there's something we're seeing more and more, especially Wraith is a great example, what you're talking about, right? Because you have that extra length of port. Also, when you get up to purple as well, your escape mechanisms become so much more effective and able to stay alive. Talk to me about commanding space around a spot, because I think it's something that a lot of people who maybe are watching ALGS, watching Apex Legends comp, don't quite understand the importance of. It's one thing to have a spot, but you've got to control as much space around it as you can to have success.
Yeah, so commanding a space, really you want to have a central zone where you get like a fallback zone, like your peak safe spot, but you want to spread out and command as much space as you want. You want to show pressure so other teams don't think that they can just take that spot from you and then eventually angle you out. You're really just trying not to be pinched at the end of the day.
Yeah, being pinched certainly can be a downer. You mentioned in your tweet that you feel like you could have done even better than second place, and you were like, you're happy that you got second, but you felt like there was maybe some mistakes on your end to not get first. What would you take that down to? Because I mean, you should be absolutely proud of a second, but what do you think you had to do differently to get that first?
There's a lot of kill opportunities I missed. A lot of times I whiffed. I was obviously nervous in some of the games, so my aim was a bit shaky. I watched a lot of like one-shot people get out of my line of sight. In that end game, I could have jumped back in my port, but I think I missed it by like a centimeter and I died the zone. So I don't know. I mean, I was happy that we got second, but I was just thinking about all the kill opportunities I dropped and how we could have got first if I played better.
I mean, that's kind of the mark of being a pro, right? Like, even when you do well, always dissecting the smallest, tiniest minutia that you could have maybe changed that would have kind of put you over the edge into that top spot. Now, speaking of being in the top spot, you guys are right on that bubble right now as far as kind of in the overall standings. So how are you going to be handling things for the second half of the split to not only ensure that you stay inside of it, but then continue moving up the leaderboard?
I think we're gonna stick to the Wraith comp. It's been working out really well. For the first 2 match days, we were kind of trying to play the baby comp, the Newcastle Gibby, and it just wasn't working out. We were getting destroyed by Maggies. And Cody and I, Cody's one of my teammates. Him and I aren't like the type to sit behind a shield. We want to run around and kill everything. So I think we're gonna keep trying to do that. Keep playing the same way we practice. Play confident and hopefully see more success with that.
You know, one quick hit, though. I just want to give you an opportunity to give a little bit of love to your teammates before we say goodbye, and a quick little bit of history for how long you guys have been playing together.
Well, Hambino, he's been so kind to me ever since I first started Apex. Awesome guy. Really good at just calling the zones and finding a power position. And then Cody, recently introduced to me like last year by RKN. Always thought that guy was insane at the game. Was so happy I got the team with him, and I have been best buddies since, inseparable. Love playing with him. Vibes are always high. So love my teammates, love my team.
All right. Well, perfect. Thank you so much, Sang. That's nice. It was so nice to be able to chat with you. Congratulations on your guys' success last weekend, and best of luck in the rest of the split. Hopefully we'll be chatting again soon.
All right. Thank y'all. Have a good one.
All right, guys, match number 2, perfect timing, is diving straight back into it. So let's keep this thing going.
Let's keep it going, and indeed we have the ban we expected going into our second game. Daniel Gaskin, Crypto is banned. Liquid with the win in game number 1. We'll have to see if they can go back to back here without the help of the Recon legend.
Full government name. Terrifying when you do that to me. It's like I'm in trouble, but I know I'm not, because I'm always in a good position when I'm casting some Apex with you. As you said, match 2 about to be underway. Without a Crypto now, it does open up a lot of the potential for Baby Comp, but remember, that also means a lot of Maggies potentially going to come into things. Expect Alter to be banned going into this one, and as the stats come through, 18 Alters is going to be in the game. So yes, Alter will be banned, but 13 Maggies, and actually only 2 Gibbies. So only a couple of teams opting to play for the Baby Comp here, maybe recognizing that Mad Maggie is the true threat. And just as Sang was mentioning in his interview, when they tried to play Baby Comp, when they tried to play what everyone else seemed to be working with, they just got so heavily countered by the Maggie, and I think that's going to become more and more apparent as people realize just how oppressive that riot drill can be.
I mean, you look at the counter comp to the Baby Comp, look at what Liquid are running. Seer, Maggie, and Alter. That is aggressive. And I think you can afford to play that in game number 2 if you've just won the first game and you have some points in the bank. Looking at where the zone is going to be going, it's going out towards the eastern side of E-Bank by the looks of things, to where Sentinels are holding that choke. So I think a lot of teams are going to try and wrap that eastern side if they can. Come in a little bit later. It's going to be tough to play from the E-Bank side as everyone will start to stack up. So I feel like if you're there early on that eastern side, you're going to be in a pretty good spot for the end game.
Also, some good visuals from that side as well for people that are coming in late, and for a team like Sentinels, who have Monsoon, who likes to play with distance weapons, snipers, whatever, charge rifles, whatever he can get his hand on quickly with how fast they've had to move. A good chance to try and build up those Evos as well, and also just be a nuisance to those who are arriving a little bit later on. Full 11 are going to be there fast, as well as NIP. And remember, NIP were early out, Sentinels were early out as well, so both teams will be trying to make up for that here. We're just gonna have to see how one of these teams get through here as well, because as Onset was saying, a fantastic position for them, but the real question is, can they get that visual to try and break through and get extra little bit of Evo? As Stallions now moving through, remember they were the first team to be eliminated, but this time maybe they'll have a better chance at trying to get through. And I am impressed with how Stallions have played leading up to today. I just think that they're one of those teams that have one of those perfect blends that I've been talking about, the perfect recipe for a team. Skittlecake's one of the most impressive players at the moment in any region, combined with the new and upcomer Sacred, alongside a fantastic IGL in Albrelele, but maybe they'll have a better time here. Well, Freethinkers are going to just engage in this one right now, but they've already lost Fish, so Negative and Atypical are going to have to try and survive as a duo, but they do have the Catalyst to work with, as well as, of course, the fact that they can portal back here and try and get res, which they will do so. So they've been able to survive mainly thanks to that Dark Veil, and impressively so, they can try and stay alive as a 4, because in the previous game, they were able to get so far into that late game and be a real thorn in the side to so many teams who are crossing that bridge that they put up a good amount of points to work with. In terms of teams that are arriving a little bit later, Liquid are finally making their move. Of course, they have a very long journey to take, as well as Team Burger, Gamblers, and GK. Crazy Thieves also moving from the south is now full 11, who are the other team on the side of this one, have been able to stabilize as well. They weren't able to really push on that knock, which we're going to see a lot of here in Game 2. With the takeaway of Crypto, you're going to see a lot more Alter. You are going to see a lot of teams that are going to be able to find themselves in a position where they can recall themselves on that portal. And of course, with the amount of Watsons that we have in the lobby now as well, just so many fences to try and disassemble your position and not allow you to push up. As we check in with Shopify Rebellion. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm talking so much, temporarily have lost my co-caster in Onset. It kind of feels nice at times, I'm going to be honest with everyone, but then I do start to miss him. It's like, you know, when you just finally get away from someone, you're like, thank goodness, and then you're like, oh no, wait, no, I really like them. That's how I feel about Mark right now. But Liquid have been able to find themselves in a pretty good spot. They can hold this building for quite a while because the zone is not going to come in for now. They might take this fight against Gamblers if they would like to, but it looks like they're just going to keep going on their movement. They don't really want to take this fight at the moment, although they are pretty well equipped in terms of weapons and armor, so I don't know if they are just trying to get to a choke to hold out Gamblers, or perhaps they're worried about a third party in this situation. But we'll check in with how that goes. It looks like they've been able to find themselves far enough away that they don't have to worry about Gamblers now. Liquid might run into Shopify Rebellion if they're careful, though. You can see there on the map overhead. ROC also going to be in Electro Dam. It looks like this is going to be another contest for the Survey Beacon. Two teams trying to hit that Survey Beacon at the same time, but I don't know if JD Gaming know Rocker here. Oh, well, they will. No, they will do now after they hit the Crafter, but there is one single player from JD Gaming who might be unaware. Anyway, let's jump into a quick listen-in with Rock Esports and see how they plan this one.
One drop down.
It's a Valk team?
No.
Alter.
Almost cracked her in the open right here.
Third one cracked. I'm killing her. Burning her.
Flush. She's super low.
Going down.
Jill, if you have.
Jilling it.
She's TPing away.
I didn't hit her, she TP'd.
I think she TP'd.
It goes here.
I'm gonna hit UV.
They're playing bridge.
Okay, I'm
running away.
I'm walking. I'm gonna get it to you.
Force them away, get that catch, we're gonna go Galleria. Hopefully they don't go Galleria. Looks like they are though.
Look, they are.
Alright, I'm going for cash.
Fuck, I should have killed her.
There's a team playing in Canal.
Look over him if you want to pull for him.
Yeah, sitting on it.
Well, I'm back. Is Mark back? Who knows? We'll find out in a little bit. But for now, you can see ROC, they weren't able to really take that fight. JD Gaming were able to escape and plan their rotation, as a lot of these teams are just avoiding these gunfights, which is what happens in Americas in these early stages. It's not worth taking some of these engagements because you'll just find yourself potentially getting thirded or losing out on the speed of which to rotate to zone and find yourself in a good position. If you take those fights, you are going to be beaten by other squads and you won't find yourself in a good spot at all. And then you're looking at finishing, what, 16th? And that's not really going to work out here if you want to be able to build points to try and get further up in those leaderboards and make your way towards playoffs. A team to look at, Elite Esports. They're down towards Stadium at the moment on this southeast side. It has been a long old journey for them, but we were lucky enough to interview Dig last week. What a genuine pleasure it was, and a genuine human being that we were able to speak of, and how it's been kind of arriving into the Pro League, how they had to adapt, how they had to change their play style, and really he's just happy to be here. I mean, the fact that they were beating teams like Falcons, they were competing teams with like Falcons, for him, as he was a big HAL fan coming up, it was a really nice moment to be able to listen to how he's just enjoying his time in Pro League. As now Team Liquid we check in with again, it's still Gamblers that they're going to be going up against here. If they can get some initial health checks on them, they might realize that they have a big advantage going into this fight, and the Seer is going to help with that a lot. Panic just needs to get given the cue, by the way, to go, and here you go. Team Liquid, they get that first one, and now it's just about following up as a team, and there you go. It's an easy wipe. It was an elongated fight. Gamblers were chasing them for quite some time, but finally they take advantage of that engagement, and they're able to take down our first squad here as we're down to 19 squads. But Shopify Rebellion are looking to try and press in, and just at the right time, Onset is back here. Mark, good to have you back. I've missed you.
I just couldn't be bothered to cast for a bit, mate. I'm only joking. Tech issues, everybody. We know how it is. Welcome to the online world. Can't wait to be back on land. Shopify Rebellion, though, on our screens right now. Dan, you did a fantastic job. I'm going to give you at least 30 to 40 seconds of break here and just cast the whole time, okay? So that you can, like, put an oxygen mask on, because that was ridiculous, as is that shot coming in from Koi4. A nice little 108 from one of the best aims in Apex Legends. Zainu now, back to the building. And they're in a pretty good spot for another good game here, Shopify Rebellion.
Imagine I just disappeared. I just wanted to make you feel a little bit scared. Just with a little bit of silence. You start to panic. Where's he gone? Liquid, by the way, have gone for they're rotating back down south now. They can't really make up their mind which way they want to go. They're trying to keep Shopify Rebellion on their toes, I think. But I quite like this. It's kind of the Duke of all Dukes. You go one way, then you go the other, and then back again to try and make a comfortable rotation through. They might end up having a fight against GK with this position they're finding themselves in. But with the altar available, of course, a lot of walls you can just void passage through and maybe surprise a couple of rosters, but they'll be on the western side, and for now they'll be safe.
I would also say, if Team Liquid have realized that this is GK Esports, they will want to take this fight. When you're looking at composition comparison, it's baby comp versus anti-baby comp, which is a weird thing to say out loud. But you know what I'm getting at? It's the ultimate counter. You have Seer, you have Maggie, you have Alta. It is a problem for anyone who is running that Gibby Newcastle. And yeah, if they run into GK here, they might just find that out.
You know, ever since I started talking about, like, when Valkyrie goes down, it's the baby chicks left on their own. Now I feel bad about an anti-baby comp. Anyway, let's jump into a listening with Team Liquid.
Second, 5 seconds. Taking the queue. I'm batting. I'm batting.
Flash.
He ran away.
The Val's ulting.
Chasing Castle. Okay, go ahead. Look good. You're alone for a second.
He's underneath you, so.
Bro, he's fucking one. Oh my god. Chilling. Same.
No one's behind, we're fine.
Fucking way, also kill. We get that's a Gibby? Solar ran back that way.
Yeah, I full killed already. I can see him somewhere?
We gotta look this way. I'm gonna loot real quick. We gotta look that way, right?
Yep. Looting as well.
Here's Brewster.
Yeah, I'm grabbing. Need also as well.
Well, what did we say was going to happen? That's exactly what does happen. Luckily, Valkyrie manages to hit the skies and get out of there to keep GK alive, but deep into zone is where they find themselves looking for a reset. But Team Liquid showing the power of the composition they are running if they do run into a baby comp.
Yeah, and there's only, what, 2 full baby comps? GK and Team Burger, by the looks of it. So, yes. Yeah, there's not many to find of them, but when you do find them, you feel like you're very powerful because you have almost the direct counter to it. Now, Rock, who have been fighting on this northeast for quite some time, it looks like they'll finally get an engagement. It's going to be JD Gaming they go up against as Vaxilon gets that riot drill out, and now also the Wrecking Ball comes through, and it's the perfect chance to try and collapse.
Yeah, good shots coming in from Vax as well. Just got to be careful, that riot drill. Got to be careful to keep himself alive. Obviously get the first knock, but you don't want to have those numbers evened up without exchanging a little bit of damage. Vaxilon, the healthiest player on his team now. Cersei has to hug in behind the bulletproof hedge, and now Sorcerer will fly in on the double jump out of the Seer and JD Gaming will fall. So RSC win that fight, and it's all down to that opening they managed to create. Now controlling that eastern side that we talked about, but I also want to highlight Sentinels. We saw them very, very early on in this game, Dan, playing that bottom bridge position, and they are going to be bang center zone, but queuing through that wall ends up ugly. That was Watson fenced up. That is good work coming in from Stallions.
Just into the unknown sometimes. When you void passage through a wall, you have no idea what is on that other side. And sadly, Rock find that out the hard way. And they'll have to try and survive just as a solo. Maybe there's an opportunity. I think Dinos are looking for that last remaining player at the moment. And I don't know if you'll be able to survive. Elsewhere, we check in with S2 down on this southern side because they have a little Krabby baby as GK get taken down in the kill feed as well. They'll be fully eliminated. We're down to 17 squads now. As this next zone, by the way, is going to be carnage. 17 squads going into this next zone. There is only 1 or 2 teams in this next circle, and that isn't even the final circle. So this is going to be pandemonium trying to work out what on earth is going on.
Yeah, the good thing here for S2 is just even having the Kraber. The presence of that weapon means that everyone's going to hunker down and try and not give you an LOS. That allows more space for you to walk into as Team Liquid now move down to this low ground. Sykes is going to be able to scan forward for them. He's got a responsibility here on the Seer to make sure that the path that they take is the one of least resistance. So Zero usually wants to lead the way and will be doing on the altar, but he's going to be relying on the information being passed to him by Sykes.
A lot of information being gathered, and a lot of information can just allow a player like Zero to really capitalize on said information as well. I mean, we have seen Zero play the Seer. We've seen Zero play those info legends as well, because then he has the info for himself. But passing off that responsibility and being more of the aggro legend himself, Zero just feels in a more comfortable position because we know how incredible of a player he can be on that front line as well. As it's void passages galore as Elite Esports try and bypass this roster.
Well, RSC do not get any further in this game as we find ourselves with our next team eliminated. Dark with some good shots coming out of that wingman, but it looks like it's going to have to be a little bit of a counter-rotate here from Elite Esports, at least to slow down and just get those meds popped. DINOS on the other side of this, and the void passes through indicates that they want to try and fight, and the timing might be so good for them. DINOS managed to just about get into that bus, as Team Liquid will not be able to progress on the other side of the map. They will be out, so our winners of game number 1 are gone early here in game 2.
You are cursed when you win one, because you're not going to win another one by the looks of it. And sadly for Liquid, they have to watch on as the remaining 15 teams now battle out. I told you the kill feed was going to start to light up, because all these teams forcing their way into this next zone, as now S2 will be doing some damage. Again, the wingman is hitting hard, but now are they going to be able to stay alive?
I mean, Loter is doing it all himself at the moment, barely missing a single bullet from that R99. As that goes down, it's a 1v1, and he doesn't miss the biggest bullet, the most important shot. He hits. That was all Loter, as Source Gaming feel it's like to go up against a player who is hot with those shots.
Yeah, if you've been watching scrims, as I know you have, Mark, Loter has been popping off in them. Stallions get eliminated, though Elite Esports will put that final nail in the coffin, as now we're down to 13. Elite should have the entirety of the eastern side. Thuggets are just to their north. Dinos are ahead of them slightly. But it now means that Elite Esports can actually move in on the east, and they can use some of these buildings that are in the middle to try and work with as a little bit of cover. They've noticed Dinos, they've noticed Thuggets, so they know who to avoid here if they want to try and bypass them.
Another team who's banging the center zone is a team who had a very good game 1. That is Team Burger, and they have the Newcastle Gibby comp, so they will be able to survive and thrive as everything gets thrown at them and everything takes place around them when it comes to those fights. So 1v1, it's DJ Killer versus Dig. As a little bit of help is going to come in from elsewhere, and Elite Esports will be eliminated. Thuggets now moving on to the last remaining members of DINOS. Will take them out of the lobby as well. Thuggets now control that northeast.
Yeah, that was well played by Thuggets just to wait long enough to be able to third party it. Full 11 also just got taken out of this server. As we check in with Shopify Rebellion, 16 points in the moment. 4th place they find themselves in, and they have the kill leader in Zainu in this lobby on this western side. But they have Freethinkers, Buckle Boys, NIP, and Sentinels all around them. So you really need to be looking to Zainu here to make a good call to get past a lot of these squads.
It's going to be very tough for them, though, because there's so many opportunities for alters to queue up from below and cause problems. Crazy Thieves are finding themselves having problems as Ninjas in Pyjamas will be eliminated, as Zach Mazer with that darn Kraber causing Crazy Thieves to rethink the choices that they made a few moments ago. Buckle Boys eliminated next. Phony left as a solo.
And is he going to be able to do anything as a solo? That's the real question. Revival get taken down. Yeah, it's another placement point, which is very important. And those placement points become more so the further you get into that top 5 and onward. And now we are going to see Shopify Rebellion just with that, just this position. They've been able to fence up and create space. In that interview, we were talking about commanding space. You get your initial spot, but then you need to start breaking out from it and creating more space for your team.
Gotta be so careful of these void passages being fired up from below. You do not want to get abducted in an endgame. Real chance again for Shopify Rebellion to have a good game in game number 2. S2 will have to thank Lota for a lot of the heavy lifting he did a few moments ago on that eastern side of zone. Zach still has that Kraber in the back pocket. He still has the opportunity to change the game. Jim Burton will go down, but that was just a knock, so that's not going to really influence the rest of the game. Thuggets will be eliminated next, so SR still hot on this top.
Hot on the top is Sen, still holding this position that they had right at the start of this game, by the way. But they've only been able to find a couple of kills, but they have been able to get up to purples. That's the important thing. They've got those purple perks. They can now play a big part in this final zone as well. Have the Newcastle wall available to them, but they do have to move soon with Shopify Rebellion above them as S2 come in. The Wrecking Ball again is so obnoxious when it's against you.
Crazy Thieves are eliminated. Phony doesn't get any more placement points, and somehow Team Burger have managed to actually survive what was an onslaught from that Mad Maggie. S2 probably in the best spot at the moment, but the reset is being attempted here by Team Burger. MT and Jen still on their own. As Sentinels down from this low ground, from the spot that they've held for so long in this game, now have to make some dynamic moves.
I think it was game 2 in scrims we saw Sen get their win in, as well, so we'll have to see whether they can replicate that here in Pro League, but it's not going to be easy from their position. Shopify down to just 2, as you mentioned, but still winnable as a duo, especially without Hector. This final circle is going to be big nade, which could do some big damage, and it does! Monsoon falls.
Sentinels just sending it at the moment. They want to try and secure just an extra placement point. I think from that low ground, Sentinels will be eliminated. They're not going to be able to do so. It's Shopify Rebellion who pick up the majority of those kills from the damage that is done. And now it's going to be S2, Team Burger, and Shopify Rebellion. And Shopify getting jumped on by Burger, but Coinful almost sends them back to the lobby. But S2 just need to clean up here and will clean up in game 2. S2, your champions. And that Kraber from Zach Mazer and the clutch from Lota, the big talking points from that game.
It's so funny in those final circles where the team who is furthest out has to commit to something, and it becomes a snowball effect. You see Sentinels have to try and place for top 3, but they then get taken out. Then you see the next squad try and dive in and take out the remainder of Shopify Rebellion. They get taken out, and then all in all, you just wait for S2 to swoop on in and take those final pieces of the puzzle. But think back to what Lota did previously in that engagement. Without that, they wouldn't have even had that opportunity. Having that clutch player is so important on any team right now.
Yeah, the output damage, I would love to see that fight isolated just to see like comparative output damage from all players on S2, because it felt like it was all Lota in that moment. Just did not miss a bullet with the R9, and then clutching up with the wingman shot as well to win that fight, control that side of the map. They get the full reset and they make the most of it. It's a fantastic performance from S2. 11 KP alongside the placement points for first. 23 points for them. Team Burger in behind them. They're going to have 12 total points, but Shopify Rebellion, that is a Shopify-esque game for me, Dan. 12 KP and a top 3 finish. That is 19 points for Shopify.
It was 2.5k damage for Lota. The only person in the lobby that did better than that was Coifel with 2.6, and we know how incredible a damage dealer Coifel is, but they were both Mad Maggies. In fact, all the 3 top damage dealers were Mad Maggies. Not really surprising with just how that riot drill works as well, and being able to completely decimate anyone in a bubble or behind a wall. But Team Burger, after their first 2 matches, find themselves in first place, and it is a plan executed perfectly, Mark. What you were talking about right at the start of this show, they like to make sure that Crypto gets banned so they can move to that baby comp in game 2 and just play zone heavy and survive. They not only did that, but they also found success in game 1 with the Wraith and found kills alongside it. Now they find themselves with 29 points total.
Just in behind them, nestled in behind them, you see 2 teams tied as well, so very, very close after 2 games. And if you want to watch the POV of your favorite player and team, you can do it by heading over to algs.ea.com and set up your multi-view. You will not miss a beat in the ALGS this season. It really is a special tool, and I think everyone who's been using it has really been enjoying the access that they have to the players, the comms, and to be able to, of course, to draw things that you want on the screen.
Can I watch it and get another commentator when sadly online issues happen?
Are you trying to get rid
I
of me?
lose my No, I really wanted you back the whole time.
No, unfortunately for you, Dan, I was still in the Discord where I heard every single word you were saying, and I just heard what you were saying, so that's all good.
Well, I guess with that, it's a good time to go for a break. Because when we come back,
we are going on a break.
Can go
You're
on
right.
a proper break, and we can get into match 3. We'll see you then. Bye.
This is everything you missed in the third week of the ALGS Pro League. Let's kick things off with APAC North. It was an explosive day for Trinity, dropping an 18-kill win and finishing with 39 kills overall. This performance saw them launch up 9 spots in the overall leaderboards, now sitting comfortably in third. At the top though, it's Enterforce 36, taking over first place. Led by land champion Obli, they put together a consistent day, closing it out with a 4th place finish. Over in the Americas, Stallions were in complete control. They came out strong and never let up, dominating lobbies from start to finish and picking up 36 kills on the day. Nice Guys nearly stole the spotlight themselves, but a tense final zone 1v1 against Stallions denied them the first place finish by 3 points. Despite that, NIP remained the top overall in the standings, with Stallions now right behind them in second. Moving over to EMEA, this week it was all about the unsigned teams. Made in Heaven had an incredibly consistent performance, landing 4 top 4 finishes, securing first place on the day. That pushed them up 5 spots into second overall. Team Bandits also made big moves, climbing 5 positions after finishing third, but holding strong at the top, it's still Pod, staying consistent as ever with a 2nd place finish and keeping their grip on first overall. Finally, it's APAC South. The Thai squad of Team Orchid came alive this week, securing first place with 2 wins on the day. Exactly the turnaround they needed after a rough start to the split. VK Gaming, on the other hand, had a tougher outing, finishing 10th. Despite this, they still hold on to first place overall and are now just 5 points ahead of SAUL Esports. And just like that, you're all caught up. ALGS Split 1 Pro League will be back this weekend, so make sure to catch all the action live.
Red Bull gives you wings.
You asked for a break, Dan, you got a break. I'm here. Okay, this is what you get. You guys did this to yourselves.
I mean, I would say I'm only joking, but sometimes I just have to get rid of him. You know, I have to show him who's boss and make sure that, you know, no, I'm joking. I miss him,
you
but
love him. Stop lying.
I do. I love him dearly. But it's fantastic to have you alongside me, and I'm looking forward to this next one as well, because we've still seen the curse in full effect. You win a match, and then sadly you can't really follow up with it as Team... I was going to call them Team Zero for a second. Team Liquid fall victim to that after their incredible match 1, but can't find and replicate that success going into match 2. Instead, it was S2 who were able to do it with an 11-kill game as well. Quite a big one. But the overall winners and leaders at the moment, Glitter, are Team Burger. It has been planned, executed by them, really, of what they wanted to achieve going into these first couple.
And not only that, but back-to-back 2nd place finishes. So this is still exactly what we would be looking for, just in theory, across the board, period, for a team when it comes to looking for success. The consistency is so important, and having found themselves now with 2 2nd place finishes, honestly, if they can finish it strong here on this map, then heading into the second half of the day, things will be that much easier.
Yeah, at the moment it's very tight, isn't it? If we look back to what was happening in EMEA, we had very clear front runners right from the get-go after huge games in matches 1 and 2 for certain teams. Here, not the case. A team is leading without even finding a win so far. We haven't had a huge, like, 16, 17 kill game from anyone. Instead, it's super tight. Burger, S2, Shopify, Liquid, all within touching distance of one another. And then really, you're not really too far behind it if you are Free Thinkers or Buckle Boys as well. Sorry, I just drank some sparkling water, and the bubbles have got me going at the moment, but sometimes you just have to embrace the bubbles. That's what I say.
It's fine. It's fine. Listen, we haven't even started this next match, so you're good. You still have time. And I keep looking at this, and like you were just mentioning, we haven't had the same pop-off performances like we saw earlier in EMEA, but it doesn't mean that it it wouldn't completely shake things up if we did. If someone is able to do that, even the likes of Sentinels, if they turn around and get like a 30-point win, that is something that completely shakes up these standings. So I know we're really early on. We're just heading into match number 3 right now, but this series is still completely up for grabs for any of these teams.
Real question for me is, do we see Maggie get banned? Does she get through, or are we going to see something more similar to Amir and Scrims where Watson was taken away? As I do my mental math and get the stats through, Watson will be banned. 13 Watsons, 11 Maggies, 10 Wraiths, 7 Seers coming through, only the 4 Gibraltars and 6 Newcastles. So people still pretty scared of Maggie. We might see a Maggie ban later on in the series when we get to Olympus, perhaps similarly to what we saw in Amir. Zone-wise, that looks familiar. It's going to be a little bit further north because Galleria is going to be a little bit more inside it, so perhaps we move a bit further away, but a very similar rotation for those who are on the edge and on the western side.
I know that Mark is going to be sad that he doesn't get to be here for this moment. This is right up his alley.
A repeat zone? Oh, he loves a repeat zone.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. He wishes he was here right
sadly
now.
For him. Yep, well, he can be. He chose to take a break, so there he is. He has to deal with his consequences. You know, he has to live with it, and he won't get the fun of casting a repeat zone once more. But we are going to see Sentinels take pretty much the same position that they did previously. Remember, they got into the top 5 by doing so, if not top 4 by doing so before. And we might see very similar pathing from a lot of these teams with how identical the zone pretty much is. As I said, it's a little bit further north, but for the most part, it's pretty much the same.
Which means it's also an opportunity for the teams that maybe didn't exactly nail down their strategy the first time around to kind of take another stab at it and see if they can find something that works. As I say that, though, we're checking in with Free Thinkers, where Negative seems to have taken just a little bit of damage. They are on the run, though, not in the middle of a fight, so potentially just trying to create a little bit of space so they can get those heals off. And as I say that, that was not good. That Thermite has connected and Negative is down.
Down, but are you going to be out? Can Free Thinkers survive this one as a 2? Do you try and retreat? A typical is going to have the opportunity just being on the cap by having the extra little bit of an armor chunk, but I think maybe they want to try and run away from this one. But you have to hit a Watson fence first. That plant pot was playing really spoiler to it, and now they will be able to just run away here. Free Thinkers, 6th place at the moment. They've been able to find a good amount of success getting to the end game, particularly in that first zone. But sadly, losing out with that initial player, they're going to have to try and work out how they get him back up to a full 3 as we check in with Team Liquid, who are making their move across the map. As I mentioned, they have a long way to go from Resort. So it's about looting up. It's about playing those side quests. It's about finding those Evo caches and getting as much armor as possible and making sure you are as prepared as you can be when you eventually enter zone.
Yeah, I don't know what we just came in on the tail end of, but Zero was able to take out MT in the kill feed as we jumped on board with them, which means Burger will be down to a duo temporarily. The rest were able to escape, and they'll be looking to get MT back up instantly, and you can see that right there. The respawn does come through. But Liquid found themselves in a position to maybe at least get some extra KP on the board. They're now going to be leaving Resort and moving their way into the circle. I also saw Blink get knocked for a second there. There was a little bit of some poke action happening, and there's even more. I was not prepared for this so early on.
Oh, Skittle with a nice amount of damage with the R99 initially, but the counter push comes through. Stallions dropping, and sadly, Albrelli is just going to have to try and play escape artist here, see if he can get the rest of the team back up. Still 20 squads remaining, but we know there are some very unhealthy teams still alive. And for Stallions, after an incredible match day 4, not seeing the same kind of success. Perhaps Olympus will be a little bit better for them than E-District, but that is a surprise considering they are currently the 3rd best team on E-District in Pro League in this region, but they have not looked like it so far. But sadly, zones can do that to you. If it's just on the the wrong side and you can't get those rotations correct, you could just fall victim to bad zones.
Meanwhile, we get to see what NIP are trying to plan for themselves right now. They are near 2 different teams. They're kind of pinched between these 2 squads. We've got DINOS on one side of things. You can see that they're dealing with a little bit of the Maggie harassment, which is never fun. We'll have to see how it ends up going for them.
It's never fun. No, I hate Maggie harassment. In fact, it happens in far too many of my ranked games, and I just want to delete Maggie off the face of the earth when I get the opportunity to do so, but she didn't get banned. She gets through again, and she'll now just be continuously deleting people in these lobbies from match 3 into match 4 on Olympus as well. It just means that there's going to be less Gibby available. But for these teams that are trying to take this fight at the moment, neither wants to commit to it. They're both a little bit worried to try and take that initial engagement. But if we see one person get the knock, you know full well they are going to jump on this opportunity to try and take this fight.
Carter trying to see if he can maybe find a couple angles here with that triple take in hand. Oh, Wraith coming in useful here as he tries to go for the push, able to instantly do some damage here. Nice slide around the corner, and the kills just are coming through easily for them. Honestly, Freethinkers looked really scattered there, Dan, and they could not respond to the pressure that S2 is putting on them.
Yeah, Freethinkers just on the back foot ever since they got that respawn. Very difficult to try and win that fight. As for S2, I think we have to keep an eye on this team. The further we get into Pro League, and in particular Lota, I do think he is a generational talent, and watching his gameplay, if you go back, watch any of his VODs, unbelievable aim. He's just another one of these players that can absolutely one-clip anyone who gets in their way. So excited to see how S2 progress through Pro League. For now, they have found their victory. They do find themselves at the top of the leaderboard alongside Team Burger, but can they find themselves in a good spot for this final zone will be my question, because you know there's a few teams that have been able to get there first and win that initial engagement, and now all the way from Street Market, it's a long old journey. But we are going to see maybe Shopify Rebellion's journey first. Team Burger going to have to do something. Liquid have been able to wrap all the way to that northern side, and they have at least been able to find somewhere. It looks like they've been held out slightly, so they might have to approach through Galleria instead.
Is definitely a bit of a chaotic north side of that circle, but you had mentioned watching these teams coming in from the outside. Shopify being one of those squads who's just rotating in from the western side of things. So let's jump into a quick listen in with them and see how they want to find some space.
Do we have you look for bottom shop support maybe? I feel like that's probably taken already.
Yeah, it's probably. I could look for it, so though.
Yeah.
Might be taken.
What are the other options? Everyone open your map for a second. I don't think we want to put ourselves in here. I think either bottom shops. Obviously, this building if it's free. We can't wrap Galleria. I mean, if it really comes down to it, guys, like if we can hold our side again, bro, and play this walk-in on this, it'll be good. But like,
can we live in this corner? You know what corner I'm talking about? Like right here.
Okay, listen.
Not towards the building, but like
early,
that
but
little corner.
Maybe later if we do that.
Okay,
early,
I'm gonna look for shops. Okay, I'm gonna look for shops.
Yeah. Wait a second. I want to see if there's anyone on this right side real quick.
And Dan, we can hear just how difficult it is right now for them to decide exactly where they want to move in for space to hold, knowing that so many other squads have already done that and claimed some of the space that they're considering.
Yeah, you can kind of hear the indecisive nature of the squad at the moment as well, not knowing really where to go. I think that's been one of the biggest criticisms for Shopify Rebellion, is not being decisive in certain moments, and perhaps why they struggled a little bit in some of the early matches here in Pro League. Zainu, though, is still a very young talent. Took on IGLing where previously he was more co-IGL. I still think that there is a lot of room to grow for him. When he's on the ball, one of the best IGLs around, but sometimes just doubts himself a little bit. Now, certainly from, like, I was speaking to Bravo about it quite a lot, actually, as he was watching through some of the Shopify Rebellion VODs, and there was times where Zainu just wasn't really trusting in himself, and he was a bit indecisive. So I like to hear when he's just a little bit more firm with his decisions, because as an IGL, sometimes you have to be and fall on your sword if it's the wrong choice and the wrong decision. Now, a team who has been able to survive a little bit longer than I thought they would be is Stallions, because they were struggling earlier, but they are back up. They are a full 3, and they have found their way into zone.
What a save on behalf of Albrelelli, able to escape to get the guys back up. And now it seems that not only have they managed to survive, but they've moved in and found themselves a temporary holding space that they can potentially work with based off of what the rest of these teams around them are going to be doing. So we'll have to see how that goes for them. But for now, we're going to be checking in with Liquid, back on board with them. You had said, that they had wrapped all the way around to that northern side, but that there were teams over there. Well, they've wrapped back over to the western edge to see if there's better space, and now they're coming across DKK.
Oh, GK at the moment under a little bit of fire. Thankfully, the EMP bubble comes out, but you have the Seer on the other side, which could be a perfect opportunity to gain that information. And Team Liquid also have the ability of the Mad Maggie as well to just ruin the day of any GB teams that are going to be on that other side. But GK just about utilized the bubble to create enough space to get away and reset. But there are going to be other teams in the area. S2 are not far away, but it looks like this fight will not conclude. Both teams back away and respect will be shown. And I like what you mentioned as well with Stallions. They were just in a temporary area. They were just renting their housing. They haven't looked to purchase yet. Instead, it's just a small renting. They asked their landlord if they can stay for just a few more days.
Just a small extension. If you guys are wondering on the map feed why you still see DKK, that name change into GK will go through officially next week. Don't worry. It is not wrong. It is just one more week of kind of an in-between time for that name. But we are now watching Source Gaming. They are around that NIP area. You can see Vayne taking some damage here. And this is an opportunity potentially for Source Gaming to push in on one of the better teams we've seen so far in this region, as Team Liquid are also eliminated in the kill feed.
Yeah, good catch there, down in 20th, or 19th actually it might have been, but still falling victim to early exits after winning that first match today. It'll have to turn to Olympus to try and find a few more points on the board. As Source Gaming, they are struggling. KJ having to dance out of this one as the Maggie, but they might be able to get the res, or maybe not though. Breach charge, breach charge, breach charge. That's all you hear if you're going up against Hemlocks. They hit so hard and they're so annoying to go up against. You can see them flying across the map at the moment as everyone seems to be running a Hemlock. As we check in with Gamblers who are on the other side of this, just a single point for them at the moment. 20th position, but perhaps this can be the game where they turn things around.
There was just no breathing room for Source in that moment. I mean, they were able to get one res, but then everybody started looking their way. They're now down to just Kate's here. Solo trying to survive and see if maybe they can go unnoticed by the rest of the teams, but you have NIP there. Like you said, Gamblers backed off just a little bit. Rock was also looking in that direction, but is this break just the right amount of time that Source Gaming needs to at least maybe consider trying to get back up?
Been a slow day so far for NIP, hasn't it? As the team who is leading this region at the moment, I did mention they looked a little bit awkward in scrims, and it seems to be carrying over to Pro League. They don't look at their very best. I don't really know what that's down to, whether it's currently the meta shifting a little bit and they haven't really found that right way to work their way through the bans and what comps they want to try and play. But at the moment, they are stuck in a rough spot. They are between Gamblers and ROC. It's going to be a difficult fight to try and survive, and that's why you see Vayne go straight into the portal to try and get this team out of here.
You know, I don't hate this. They were able to clean up Source Gaming, but Gamblers moved in, and now they're facing off with Rock. Like you just said, Kurev barely escaping that portal coming through exactly when they needed it, but they are still getting chased by Gamblers. Everyone's still up for now, but Vayne is low, Kurev is low, the riot drill is there, and they are just trying to make it through.
Kurev almost through single-handedly by just staying out a little bit too confident away from that portal. In the end, it may not matter anyway, because Vayne is going to be the last player as the Wraith, and this is when your responsibility as a Wraith is just to survive. Into the void, get away. It always feels bad leaving your team, but sometimes that is the best thing you could do, because there is always going to be the chance you can get the rest of the team up, especially with other teams in the area. There is a real opportunity that even if you don't have the capability to craft banners, you might be able to grab them after the fight concludes a little bit later on. As Rock Esports, 18th position at the moment, Glitter. Again, another incredible team who have been at the very top of this region previously. If you think back to Esports World Cup, they were right up there as one of the best teams in the world, and now they find themselves struggling a little bit here today.
I'm just going to say it, but Vayne was literally exactly under a crafter, so this might be an opportunity for NIP to get in because I see him on it in the map. So this might be perfect for them to get a reset, but I don't know how well it's going to go. Meanwhile, Team Burger still a duo. This time, finding themselves in a little bit of a different situation. MT was brought back up, but now they're down to a duo, and they're trying to play without Slayer. Elite Esports eliminated in the kill feed in the meantime, as Burger are still looking to get a little bit aggro here. They've done a good job creating some space and getting those shield cracks through, at least to keep some people away. The bubble was they tried to put the bubble down, did not make it in time, and now they are stuck in a corner. Jet is going to be forced to try to escape, and there's just nowhere for him to go.
And as you saw in the kill feed as well, and you saw in the top of your screen, we are going to see NIP back up to a 3. As Glitter saw, there was a crafter there. That's why I keep Glitter around for my rank games, because usually I'm the Wraith trying to survive, and I don't notice the crafter, but I have someone who has
so am I the dead one?
Well, you usually, yes. I mean,
Okay,
sorry, that didn't mean to come across like that. I was just saying you were good at reading the map, you know, but it's okay. We got back up to a 3. Usually we're back in the game just as NIP are, as sadly GK get eliminated, or of course DKK, they still show in the game, but that is GK who will fall. Still going to be S2 leading the lobby at the moment on 31 points, but Shopify Rebellion not so far behind, and Shopify Rebellion are still alive. As we look across to Sentinels, who this time, they're not stuck under the bridge. They've actually been able to find a more advantageous position, which is great news for a team like this who does apply a lot of pressure when they have these long-range weapons.
They also have some pretty good angles, you can see. Trying to see if they can maybe clean up here on one more kill. They do have JD Gaming in the vicinity, but they have potential angles on quite a few of these squads. Meanwhile, we get to see what Crazy Thieves have going on for themselves. This Newcastle wall giving them a little bit of cover as NIP is now in their crosshairs, and NIP just cannot catch a break today.
They cannot at all, as NIP are eliminated. It's confirmed. Crazy Thieves are able to put that final nail in the coffin. Revival just got taken out as well. ROC were able to get a couple of those kills in their favor, as Sentinels still applying pressure to some of these teams that are approaching. One of those being Shopify Rebellion, who will utilize that portal to get into zone, but they are being very much applied on by a lot of other teams, is one way to put it. There is a lot of damage coming their way. They've had to bubble.
This is really tough right now. I mean, Rock Esports down in the kill feed. We're down to 10 squads left right now, and every single team has someone in their vicinity. JD Gaming now eliminated. Sentinels was the team that was near them. We're looking at Gamblers right now, who's a duo. They have DINOS in their vicinity, but they're running towards Full 11 and Thuggets. There is no safe space in this circle.
A lot of responsibility as a solo here. There is a chance to maybe get a little quick res. Yeah, I like that. No, okay. There's not enough time. I lied. Run. You're not going to be able to survive. Don't listen to me. He's dead. It doesn't matter. Okay, Gamblers will go down. S2 also eliminated. Shopify Rebellion are somehow still finding success despite all the pressure that they were being put on earlier.
And honestly, Sentinels also still continuing to move slowly into new spots every single time and finding success while they do that. A little peek over the wall there from Blinkster does have him taking a little bit of damage, but now they know that someone is looking at them. Shopify Rebellion right on top of their heads. This could be the opportunity for them to clear out a big team.
Can we see any of these teams get a big game on their back? Five squads now remain. Sen holding a good position. Look at where Cruel Buckle's trying to take all that space as well. They have the high ground, and they are trying to spread out as much as they can to be a problem for any team trying to press up on them. Really like the position they are currently taking. Similarly to last game, though, Sentinels are going to be the ones that have to move first, and sadly, they're going to fall victim to almost identical positioning that we saw previously.
This is really tough. Blink did get knocked, but they're able to use the Newcastle to get a very quick res. Hopefully give Blink enough time to get a reset here as they continue keeping Shopify Rebellion at bay. Shopify desperately holding on to this little bit of space in the corner that they have completely hunkered down in. But you do have Crazy Thieves waiting for this engagement to happen, looking for a third-party opportunity. Is this a moment for them? The bubble is popped. Full 11 solo in that corner. DINOS over here as well. This is about to get chaotic.
Yeah, this is some heavy hitters left in this game. Crazy Thieves, Shopify Rebellion, Sentinels are all alive, but it's the Buckle Boys who hold prime position at the moment to be spoiler to any of these teams trying to get a victory on the board to try and surge up these leaderboards. But there is legend differences across these compositions. We have the ability to use a Valkyrie, for example, on Crazy Thieves. Buckle Boys have the Mad Maggie to work with. Shopify Rebellion have the Newcastle to work with. Sen have the Wraith to work with. This is where you need to utilize these legends in your best ability and favor to try and find one of these spots in the endgame.
This is all going to be about timing. Who has to move first? Who pops the bubble first if they have it? Which wall is down? As I say, the Crazy Thieves decide to move in, take a little bit of space. They try to go for a peek, able to get a knock onto Jay. Is this spelling disaster for the Buckle Boys?
Well, the Buckle Boys might just be buckling under the pressure. As I say that, though, Jetburn does get a kill and will be alive. The only Gibby left in the lobby will be eliminated. We're down to Sen versus Shopify Rebellion.
That was insane. Jen was able to clutch, but in the end, they both go down. Sentinels and Shopify, the two that were holding these corners for as long as possible, battling it out. Sentinels down to a duo, now down to a solo. It's all onto Monsoon's shoulders. Can he clutch catch this up. Will the portal give him the time and the space that he needs? It is just down to a 1v2, and in the end, it is Shopify who are able to clutch it up. There was a moment where I thought that Mom was going to be able to do it, but Shopify finally find what they are looking for, Dan, and they get the win.
Sadly, when you're going up against Koifel in a 1v1, I would probably portal away too. That boy is unbelievable in those kind of situations. As Shopify Rebellion get their first win of Pro League so far this season and put themselves with a real opportunity now going into Olympus to still take this match day, because they will be all the way at the tippy top of those leaderboards. They needed it. Boy, did Shopify Rebellion need it. I'm sure Sentinels would have liked it as well, but still a good second place for them and showing consistency now they are on their new org.
Honestly, that was kind of that confidence boost that they needed. We talked about them at the top of show. A team that had a lot of question marks for whatever reason, you know, things that were completely out of their control or not, but we know what they're capable of as a trio. And this is a little bit kind of showing off that form that we've been looking for. 7 KP, nothing too crazy. Shout out to DINOS though, with 11 KP up there on that first page. That's a big game for them.
Yeah, and this is an entirely different story, isn't it, to EMEA earlier, where, again, we're seeing several teams sharing the points at the top. 18, 16, 14 with 3 teams, rather than seeing a team get like 20+ points for themselves, close to 30 points at some points. But look at Shopify Rebellion. They have been able to create a gap going into the halfway mark of this series. 45 points for them, as it's just now S2 and Burger behind them.
Love to see what this is doing for our standings. We had mentioned it, that it literally could be anybody with one good game, and what we thought we knew was no longer going to be the case. 45 points gives a nice gap for Shopify there at the top of the leaderboard now, having moved up a couple spots there. And this is going to be interesting now when we head towards the next map. I mean, obviously Olympus has been the newer addition, so it'll be interesting to see what our teams are able to do. Before we get to Olympus though, of course, we have our halftime show, and I talked about it at the top of things. It is Snipe Down as our special guest to come do a little bit of breakdown with us, so you're gonna make sure that you want to stick around for that. Before we do it though, it's time for a short break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Red Bull is giving wings to the ALGS and the Apex community.
Red Bull gives you wings.
You want to play, Kyle? You want to play? Do you want to play, bro?
No, but dude,
okay,
are you happy with this how? Are you happy with how we're playing?
No, we're not, because we're playing like
No one's happy! Wake the up! All 3 of you, seriously! Is this okay? End zone after end zone after end zone, we up! It's not okay! Take some accountability, any of you. As soon as someone points the finger, the next person says, no, you said this. No, you did this. Own up to your mistakes.
The solo Caustic was the one that
They might not be here today, but we had to talk about them just a little bit. You saw that crash out clip there from Jogger. Eric, we want to get your thoughts on that, and welcome to the halftime show. It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, always good to be back with everyone. Yeah, I mean, the Jogger clip, as we know, I've played with Hal in the past, and the passion was there. And truthfully, you hear when Hal gets discouraged sometimes, sometimes it takes someone just as passionate or more passionate to kind of get him back into check. And you could tell at first, he was arguing a little bit back and just kind of giving his voice back. But at the same time, they all got quiet. And at the same time, Jogger wasn't just calling out Hal for this. Obviously, he's the one who's the most passionate. And when someone is, the leader of the team, everyone else kind of follows in line with that. But when someone takes over like Jogger and, brings everyone, says we all three need to have accountability, not just singling any one personality, even though Hal's the IGL, Hal, kind of took a step back, let Jogger finish what he was saying, and he realized, sometimes like as being that passionate, when someone comes in with more passion, it kind of puts you in check and makes you realize, okay, you know what, you're right, let's get this back in the flow. And I think for a team like that, it doesn't work on every team, but it works with that team specifically. And I'm firsthand experience with that, because sometimes, Hal's just going to take over and he's looking for someone to push back and to kind of push him to get back in the right mindset as well.
100%. And, this is that match day. They did get a win on match number 2. That clip happens after match number 5. And like you're saying, it just really goes to illustrate just how much they all care. Like, everybody wants to be doing their best every single match. And so that's what we're seeing out of that, really, at the end of the day. It takes a lot to be one of the top squads in the entire world, Mark.
It does. And, I think I want to kind of get Eric's take on this as well, because I think one thing that Jogger is amazing at is understanding the psychology of his players, because you've been in the position where you're a player, right? And certain things fire up different players. And I think sometimes you try certain things with different players. And I think he understands what gets each of them going. And I don't know if you've experienced that with a coach before, they just understand what fires you up and what gets you going. And it's a different approach to different players.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think we've all known exactly kind of how Hal is as a player. And for that team specifically, I think the personalities on the team are very broad. I think Guild is more laid back and he's just kind of, a little more passive. But when you have the passion coming out of the players, it just holds everyone accountable, like he even says there. I think, if anything, it just kind of lights a fire under their ass.
Now, obviously, that was in the moment. Sorry, Dan, I'm going to cut you off here before we do whatever you're going to say here. Because we did also get an opportunity to talk with Jogger after things had cooled down a little bit. So we're just going to take a quick look at that clip and see the reaction there.
When we went into our third match day and we were doing the same thing that we had multiple team discussions about. Yeah, that was kind of just like I guess the final straw, plus a little bit of rage baiting from Hal, but, that was essentially where it came from, or where it sparked from. It will be the players who, are flying high on emotions, and I do think it's the coach's responsibility to try and mitigate that as much as possible.
Okay, now go, Dan.
I've forgotten what I was going to say now. No, I was going to say, Eric, what's it like? You played with Hal. Is it mentally taxing being alongside a player who is that passionate? Because I think Hal's been getting a lot of stick lately online because people don't really understand. For someone where it's their full-time job, they are very passionate about it and they can get quite angry. You had to be alongside Hal. How is it being his teammate? Is he off camera? Does it change completely? It's not just always in your ear and yelling all the time?
Yeah, I mean, off camera, it's a completely different type of personality. It's the same thing as just what's in game stays in game, what's out of game. It's casual, whatever. You get along, you do whatever. You don't have to always talk about gameplay. But I just think if you're going to join a roster with Hal as the IGL, and you know what you're getting into, you know what you have to accept, and if you can't handle it, then don't join. And it's just one of those where it's like, he's got a group of people around him that can handle it, that have been through a lot. Guild's played with some pretty prolific IGLs in general. Walty's been there. They all played with Zero, so I think they all understand kind of what they're getting into and what to expect from each other.
100%. And Eric, we told chat earlier what else we were going to be doing here on the halftime show. And it is talking about another squad that's done very well for themselves so far in this region. And that, of course, is the Stallions. So I'm going to give you the floor, Eric. Walk us through it.
Great. Yeah, so we get to talk about Stallions, who's obviously got the big pickup in Sacred, and we have this clip right here where we only see 3 teams on the screen, but there are 5 teams still alive. You have NAP on the outside of the building. Stallions is obviously going to be making sure that these teams aren't able to push up, but the biggest thing that you have to focus on here is just the space. You have Hambino and their roster all on the right. They have the most space, but the problem is the team on top with Huss, with the rampart walls, and they're able to obviously hold down the roster on the right, and this gives Stallions the complete control of the left side. Their only focus here is to hold their space and make sure that NIP is not able to push up on their wall, because that would make their job much more difficult. Now, they're not as focused on these kills here. They're just focused on pressuring them off, making sure that they push the teams into the buildings to fight against each other. And now they're only going to focus on what they have. They're actually in the best position right here, mainly because of all the cover that they have. Teams are not able to focus over, but now they know that their only focus right now is Hambino's squad on the right here. They're going to be the main focus that they're going to have to use their abilities on, and we're going to see exactly how that breaks down here, what they're going to use their abilities for, because a lot of people will save their abilities till the end game, maybe use them too late or not use them at all. So now they're talking to each other, they're communicating. This is an all-in moment. We need to make sure we clear this out so we don't have to worry about this. Teams can't peek over. The team's on height because of the wall cover here. They get the initial damage. Now they're thinking, this is our moment. This is the time that we can push up. We can use our cat wall to block the cover. This cat wall is incredible because it blocks off the team on height from the rampart so they can't peek over. It blocks off the team down low from being able to peek over the sides when this fight starts to initiate. And if you're actually listening, you can hear the fights going on in the building at this very moment. So everyone's distracted. This is their moment to make a play as a team, use their abilities. We saw the cat spikes come out, push them back. They did the opening damage, and now they're going to be able to push up as a 3-man. They're going to be talking swing, 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 perfect swing here. They're able to get as much damage back down their team. Now, this is where it got a little confusing because the other team started using their abilities, their cat wall as well here. I thought this was going to be a moment that Stallions decided to push in to make sure that they were the only team with any of this space on the side. We can even see in the zone is going to be ending right around them, but they know these teams are there. They're going to back up. Good comms all around. I think that's one of the things I'm more impressed with this roster right now, especially with someone as young as Sacred being on the team. His comms are incredible. They push these teams off. Now they're focusing on regrouping. They got the control of their side right now. Another catwall comes off. Now this is even better case scenario for them because as we can see, we have Huss on roof who's Valculting out. We have Hambino's roster who's stuck in the corner, still down from being rezzed. And then we have Nano and Flat right out here at the front of the building. So all these teams are pinched into a corner each other. We have Hambino and them trying to recover, and now we have Stallions and Alberlelli and them able to turn the corner. They're going to be able to get to this ramp with another cat wall that's going to protect them from the teams out front or the team on the roof if they weren't going to Valcult out. They're able to play here together. They're going to wait to see what happens. They can just stall because the zone is closest to them. And we have Nice Guys here who had a phenomenal day. They're going to be just trapped in this corner right now, and so they don't really have anywhere to go. They have to climb up. We still have 4 squads left. 1 team's in the air. Now we have Huss that just landed on all these rosters, and we have Nice Guys who's still in the game around the side. So right now we're hearing we have Sacred down, we have Alberlelli who's about to go down throwing spikes, and this is one of my favorite parts. So Alberlelli just went down. He's screaming to Skittlecakes, only Valk left in this lobby. Get in the air, get in the air. We have Big Louie with a rampart wall in front of him. If he doesn't start flying here, they're dead. And at the same time, this is not the moment that the communication for this roster stops. I think that's one of the biggest things is just they're still active. They still have knockdown shields and they're still alive. Skittle is in the air. Mac is screaming, land on my knock, land on my knock, land on my knock. These other teams are still distracted by what's happening in front of them. They're going in the 1v1. Skittles comes down with the Valkyrie, uses the missiles, gets the stuns on the players behind the knockdown shields, lands on Mac, who was crawling forward that entire time saying, land on me, land on me, land on me. Then they push forward to get the final kill in the circle to get the win. And I think this is one of the biggest reasons is the communication as to why Stallions is doing as phenomenally as they are, as well as the big pickup in Sacred. But it's just incredible to watch this high level gameplay and break it down when you get to.
Fantastically broken down, Eric. Thank you so much for kind of explaining that to everybody so we get to take a look at the stats from that as well. That was honestly an insane game to watch from a viewership perspective, and that was really fun to listen to from an analyst perspective. So Eric, thank you so much for your time and for doing that today.
Thank you.
It's always nice being able to chat with you, Eric. For now, we're going to say goodbye. Hopefully we'll get to see you again in the future sometime on the show. And it's time for us to prepare for the next match. That was halftime, which means we're changing maps. We're going over to Olympus. We're seeing what our teams are bringing to the table with a new perspective. Okay? Are we going to get a repeat win?
Nope.
What do you think? No.
No, probably not. Not at this rate with how everything's going. Also, I just want to say, I just imagine Eric's about to get up and make like an incredible steak in that kitchen, and just he's a handsome man who knows how to cook. He's just a little bit of everything. Knows how to talk. What an incredible human being Eric Runner is, and he's great at video games. I mean, there you go. I've sold the perfect package. Are we going to get a repeat win? No, I don't think so. I don't think that at the moment anyone has been able to find that consistency. It is so difficult in this meta to find it at the moment. It's about trying to secure top 3 over and over again, I think, for me. With the lobby leaders at the moment, it's about doing that similarly to what Citadel did in EMEA, putting just 5 or 6 points on the board every single game from here on out.
Okay.
He's changed his tone, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Likes Eric. I think I've forgotten, Dan. Don't think I've forgotten. I think I've forgotten about the shade that's been thrown in recent times.
I was just, I was trying to put some compliments out there because everyone's saying I'm being mean to you, but, you deserve it sometimes. So there we are.
Okay, doubling down.
All right, well, we have a little bit of time right now before we get into the next match, which I think means is a perfect time for us to go back to our EMEA show earlier today, because we've hinted for everybody in chat just how insane it was. But in case you missed it, we have a montage here of that insane moment that we were talking about, specifically the game 2 with Citadel Gaming and Zuni's 15-kill game. 15 of those kills to himself out of the 23 that they got in that match, Mark. This was just unheard of.
Yeah, this was iconic, this match. I think people will look back on this game as one of the best in ALGS history, and this man on your screen broke 4 records in the process. We've got a little kill counter going on as well, and I mean, you're just looking at it here, by the way. He has 6 kills at this point in the game. It's round 5 closing, and you're about to see a man, in his own words, just hit flow state. He has been told by his teammates, do not push, do not die. As you can see, Zuni does a fantastic job of completely ignoring what his teammates are telling him, because he did not miss a single bullet on M&K, by the way. He just took this game over. It was quite unbelievable to watch.
Dan, what were some of your favorite moments in this? Because we're watching this, not fully comprehending just how insanely impactful Zuni is in this match until we get to see the numbers, but you could tell the rhythm that he found when we watch these clips.
For one, when I push in and Mark says, don't die, I do die. So it's nice to see that someone can survive when their teammates are saying that. But what was more impressive was the amount of hip fire. If you want to look at that clip, even from distance, his spray control with hip fire, incredible. And I think that a lot of people will ADS as a little bit of a crutch sometimes. Trust in the hip fire, especially with some of those SMGs. Unbelievable accuracy you can find as well if you have that recoil control on the M&K. And just unbelievable aggression. Like, that's the kind of gameplay you want to watch from Apex. Sometimes with certain metas you see people kind of hunkering down in a building, the fights are just poke damage here or there against people, but then when you watch a game like that, as Mark said, it's historic. It was record breaking. It takes away from Hal previously, I think was the leader of that record, had held that record previously of the amount of kills in one game, and now it will be Zuni that we talk about until we see someone surpass that. I don't know if it will be a while or whether it will be soon. Maybe we need a different meta for us to actually see that, but Zuni should be very proud of himself and what he achieved.
Yeah, who will step up to the plate and try to smash a record like that? I mean, already just a 23 kill game in and of itself is already impressive across the board for a trio of players. To then turn around and do what Zuni did as an individual was just very exciting to see. So chat, like we're saying, if you missed EMEA, go back and check out the VOD, specifically match 2 for Citadel Gaming, because it was a sight to behold. And now we get to see what our region, or what the Americas can bring to the table here when it comes to Olympus. Will we have another pop-off performance like that? All day, it's actually seemed quite balanced. We're not getting those pop-off performances, but we are getting some solid gameplay from multiple teams every single time. Obviously, the team that's needed it the most so far has been Shopify, and that who has just won our last match. And while it's not going to fix everything, this is a really good start for them, Mark.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's interesting. You know, Citadel was a good example in EMEA. We were saying before the game day started, they needed to perform. Shopify were in the exact same position coming into today, and they have so far. I mean, E-District was fantastic for them. It really doesn't get much better than what they did. They have a win, they have great placements, but the placements also came with kills. And Koiful, like you said, Lauren, the perfect person to have in a 1v1. It's a pretty simple one to win for him. Just a little bit of hit fire on the wingman to close it out. But Koiful, we are so back. What a game from the squad. Shopify supporting their boys as they always do. One of the best orgs in all of esports. And they needed that. I think for confidence, for belief that they can get back into those qualification positions for LAN, a start like this in this match day was so vital for them.
I just love that, especially at the halfway point too, that when we know their squads that have all of this potential inside of them that haven't been able to illustrate it, that we're starting to see those moments kind of come to the forefront. Even something like this, like the one win, is just that something that could turn into a snowball for them, fixing a little bit of that mindset. We've heard so many players talk about how if they get down on themselves, if the confidence is even remotely fractured, Dan, it completely changes what we get out of them, whether it is mechanically or decision-making wise. Like, it can alter everything.
And I think in particular for Shopify Rebellion, this is important, as I was alluding to during our cast earlier. Speaking with Bravo, when he was watching him, he was looking back at why Shopify Rebellion were basically struggling. Like, what's going wrong? Why is one of the best teams in the world not meeting their expectations? And a lot of it was down to lack of confidence through Zainu in particular. Finding a win like that is something that just propels your confidence and gives you belief back in yourself, and also your teammates trusting you as well, that you can find those endgame calls, that you can be decisive, and you can get into these moments where now you are number one. I think I saw Hal's predictions for today, and he predicted Shopify Rebellion to go on and win things as well. So maybe, you know, you've got Mystic Mark, you've got Guru Glitter, and you've got the I can't think of anything that begins with I. You've just got an impressive person of Imperial Hell who just seems to know what he's doing. The Inkling of Imperial Hell. There you go.
Intuition? Is that what you're looking for?
That might have been the word I wanted. Yeah, sadly, I couldn't find it in time. But Shopify Rebellion are on 45 points. It's a 13-point gap, which is, you know, it's somewhat substantial at the moment, but we have seen how quickly that can turn around. If the likes of S2 were to find another win and be one of those teams to get only 2 wins in Pro League, they would find themselves pretty much up there with Shopify Rebellion.
I'm giggling to myself a little bit as we look at some Shopify stats, because I have a little bit of a running joke at the moment that regardless of what map, what game day it is, what lobby it is, Team Burger will be placing between 3rd and 5th, and they're currently in 3rd. So it just made me laugh. The consistency is unbeatable, but you know, they don't win too many games. It's quite funny to keep an eye on, but this team is winning games at the moment. And I mean, you look at the differences between match day 2, 3, and 5. It is night and day from what we've seen from Shopify so far. Probably easier as well when you're connected to the internet, I will say that.
I was wondering if you were going to catch where Team Burger were in the overall. We'll have to see where they end up at the end of the day. But chat, thank you so much for hanging with us. Our teams are starting to get themselves loaded in as we prepare for Olympus. We can start talking about what we could potentially expect out of our teams here today. So I'm going to pass it off to Ansa and Gaskin as we prepare for match number 4.
You can pass it off, Lauren, but my question to Dan is, are you going to behave?
You know, I will try and behave. I will be a good boy after, you know, it's been a long day. I've enjoyed everything, and I will make sure I'm on my best behavior just for you. But what I can talk about is...
I wanted you on your worst behavior. Let's go. Talk to me about POI draft as we head over to Olympus.
3 teams to keep an eye on: ROC, Elite, and DINOS. They have been the best performing teams on Olympus, and you may have seen DINOS had the #1 draft here as they look in to try and capitalize on Olympus. They decided not to go on the side of E-District. They wanted Olympus, and now I want to see what DINOS can do with it. The fact that they have found almost 50% of their points on Olympus has big expectations for me on how they put on a show for us in this match 4.
I'm very interested in the top right-hand corner of the map, though. You have Sentinels over at Gardens, you have Elysium belonging to Shopify Rebellion, and Clinic is all Crazy Thieves. So if we see those teams rotating at a very similar time, it's going to be pretty tough. And if zones pull that way as well, I'm interested to see how they interact with each other on that side of the map. So for now, Let's see what happens. Match number 4 is live. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for the wait. We had to make sure that every player was happy in the lobby and that everybody was connected in the way they needed to be, because we do not want games that are subpar. So here we go, everybody. Match number 4 is ready. We're live. We're back. And it's time to head over to Olympus.
Olympus can provide us with a lot of entertainment, but also it can be very frustrating for certain teams if they're not used to how this map plays. Now, most of these pro teams should be used to it by now, but certainly it's a very different approach than E-District. You are not going to be able to find as much playable space. Instead, you have to kind of create your own buildable space. So legends like Newcastle can be very important. Rampart can be very important in the late game as well. And of course, Gibraltar is worth his weight in gold, because without that bubble, sometimes you will be absolutely destroyed trying to cross the map. So you are going to see a lot more baby comp going into this one, but of course that does then benefit those who decide to run a little bit of Mad Maggie. Now, when we look at the legend selection, it is going to be 14 Gibbies, 14 Newcastles, and 12 Valkyries. So the Gibby Newcastle will go to a tiebreaker.
Well, let's hear from Nocturnal about the impact the Skill Cakes has had on this Stallions roster, because he's been superb recently.
Really, I don't think the team would flourish without Skittle. Skittle is the backbone of the team. Like, sure, he probably doesn't get like the numbers, the stat lines that everyone obsesses about. Like, if you're not a valuable asset to your team while on top of doing those numbers, like the numbers don't really matter at the end of the day. Skittle generally always stays cool, calm, and collected. He's always there to be like the voice of reason. He's playing all the characters. He's playing to win. He will play any character you give him, regardless of what character's role. Like, he'll shut up and play them as long as you're playing to win.
It's always great to hear from someone as experienced as Nocturnal when he's talking about a player, Dan. And you have to agree, whenever you hear Skill Cakes, if he's playing ranked, whatever it is, you know, one of the most consistent communicators, well, the calmest communicators, regardless of match situation, and obviously incredibly talented when it comes to what he's doing in game with the legends he's on.
Yeah, you know, we've been big fans of Skittle Cakes since we saw him in the arena days. You remember those tournaments where we were watching the arena tournaments?
Oh,
and Skittle Cakes was just absolutely demolishing anyone in his way, and has just turned and grown into such an incredible player, not just for his aim, but for his ability to position himself as well, alongside an IGL like Alb. It's such a good combination. So I've really been enjoying how Stallions have been able to progress here.
Well, taking a look at the zone, you saw it momentarily there. We're heading to the north of Fight Night by the looks of things, out towards Stabilizer. Now, Stabilizer doesn't have any end games that I know into the back of the POI, so it's looking like it will pull out front, possibly towards some of those hedge lines that you can see just outside of Fight Night. You do have a couple of finishes in there as well. Team Liquid just been eliminated, by the way, so they're not going to have much of a game here on their first one onto Olympus. That'll be your Red Bull first strike, but elsewhere, CRT making their way downtown at the moment. They're heading towards Source Gaming on the edge of Gardens here, and they've got to be careful. The bubble is on the Trident and should give them the protection required.
I love end zones that end near Fight Night as well, because you do get those teams that are more comfortable in the melee matches than others, and they'll be like, you know what, let's wait in the ring, let's see what happens, let's see if anyone wants to try and challenge us. So I'm excited to see if we get a little bit of a boxing match at some point as people make their rotations through. It's currently Sentinels who are within Fight Night as we move across to Crazy Thieves, who are going to go through Rift at the moment. And again, it's just about them making a journey, hitting any harvesters, hitting any survey beacons they can to try and get those extra Evo charges, but also gaining that information on their way. It's another baby comp. Crazy Thieves are going to be running it, and we're going to have a lot of them to play with. But there are still Mad Maggies in the lobby. We have 5 Mad Maggies, so those Gibby teams are not going to be super comfortable, but we'll have to see which one goes out of Gibby and Newcastle going into this next one on tiebreakers.
S2 wrapping through the back of Oasis at the moment on their Trident. Carter's just popping himself a medi to get a little bit more healthy. They are completely isolated over here, and they're doing something very similar. It looks like they're going to be playing for both Ring Console and Survey Beacon, not just to get the info, but also for that Evo to get up towards purple. This comp, like we keep talking about, is so much more effective when you can get the Valkyrie, Newcastle, and the Gibraltar up to those purple perks. The synergy of the supersonic skydive coming in from Valkyrie to be able to instantly get up into the sky, so much more important than the blue perk. And then, of course, the 3 ultimates you get from Gibraltar's purple perk as well is the popular choice, and in my personal opinion, the only choice when it comes to what you're going to put in that selection when you get to that purple perk. It's Crazy Thieves just doing something similar to the opposite side of the map that we saw, trying to get up to purple themselves, just kind of inching their way forward, but I'm not sure how far off they are at the moment, and I'm not really seeing too many opportunities for them to get more Evo. There is a ring console and a survey beacon that's being held by ninjas in pajamas at the moment, and I think they're just firing some warning shots saying, hey, look, you can hit it, we'll let you hit it, but as long as we can collect that info afterwards.
Just maybe a little bit of love between teams as NIP do get one. Phony will be taken down, but I'm sure that's just going to be a temporary knock. 14 teams of the 20 are already within Zone 3, by the way. That's how quickly everyone has moved up towards that northwest side of the map. The 6 squads who are outside of it are all just going to be playing that very similar game of finding Evo for themselves. Unless they, like, come across each other by accident where they're both trying to hit a survey beacon or something, which we have seen a few times, probably not going to see any engagements on this edge. Instead, it's going to be more about them trying to fight their way into zone a little bit later. The 2 closest teams to each other are GK and S2, which might accidentally engage, but I think because they're on tridents, they're probably just going to back away from one another. So instead, you can see on the map S2 and GK there, or DKK, they currently still are named in game. They were right next to each other, both going for that harvester, but DKK say, no, we don't fancy that fight, we'll get away.
Shopify Rebellion, a little bit of a longer rotate for them at the moment. You can see them deep in zone alongside T-Burger. Have had to reset. I think they lost Slayer for a second in this game. Still on the baby comp. A lot of baby comp in this game as well. A lot of Gibby, Newcastle, and Valkyrie as the strongest counters outside of Maggie seem to have been eliminated from the lobby. A little bit of Seer in there as well, but feels like everyone is trying to play a little bit of a safer game here and just matching like for like. You do see Thuggets are running Seer, so that's going to be a potential counter to stop all abilities before they get used. And inside of the ring, you got the boys chilling. Chaos, Future, DJ Killer. The dinosaurs are in their cage.
Now ready for a scrap.
Come on in.
Who wants some? Who wants a little bit of fisticuffs?
Come here, geezer. What'd you say?
Would you be brave enough?
You don't support my sports team.
That means we have to have a physical engagement.
That means we have to physically fight.
Oh, what's going on here? A little bit of a kidnap attempt, but they backed into the corner. New tech. Verholz makes sure he avoids any possibility of getting kidnapped there. Crazy Thieves will survive.
It's so funny to watch. Just people standing still like, what are you doing? The raid that comes in and tries to kidnap them. It's like they just stand there like, what are you doing? Go away. And then they just do. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Someone has to make a mistake, it feels like, to get kidnapped at this point. Stand in those corners. If you're on a right angle, you're chilling.
Also, I'm hearing through sources, and those sources are our producers, the only player in Americas to have a knock with melees is dropped. So there you go. You don't want to get in a fisticuffs matchup with dropped. Otherwise, he will drop you. By name and by nature. In split 1. For clarification. It would be quite something if it was the only melee kill in history.
just throwing hands.
But no, just in split 1 Pro League.
I presume that's inside of the ring? Surely someone's kicked someone's head in.
Who knows?
Well, baby comp in effect. We are going to jump on board. There we go. He heard the call. His entrance music hits. Bubble down in 3, 2, 1. There it is. Q gets used as well, but...
Oh dear, oh dear.
Luckily, they had a wall available as well because a Maggie ball flew their way. One of the few Maggies that's in the lobby. Keon should be able to drag back to the feet here, and that's going to be DINOS applying pressure. But DINOS, if they don't finish this fight quickly, and Sentinels don't get involved with this fight quickly, then DKK might be out of this game. DKK, GK, whatever you want to call them at this point. They are alive, and you've just seen exactly why they run this composition. A couple of Ulxels exchange between players as well, so they have that wall back nice and quickly, and a horrible position turns into a very good one.
Yeah, just quick thinking as well to be able to quickly, seeing that wrecking ball, drop that wall immediately, so you had the provided cover, as here comes DJ trying to go for a little bit of a kidnapped attempt, but instead gets obliterated, has to go back, and will find himself safely back within the ropes.
Can't believe they're playing inside of the ring.
I would love it if Drop just full sent it and just was like, I'm the king of the ring. Starts laying down some haymakers. But Dinos really want to take this fight to them here, but there's another bubble from GK.
I can't believe an IGL would say, okay, guys, our macro for this game is we play inside of the boxing ring. But it's working.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if you can keep popping out and griefing and applying damage, getting those evos up, why not? It's just free protection at the end of the day. But they are not allowing GK to be safely here. Instead, they are very much applying set pressure from multiple angles in the moment. They want to get Killer up to blues at least.
It's strange as well because, you know, Chaos essentially has purple shields, but Future's only got blue. DJ Killer's only got white armor. But it's the angles that they've got pinned against GKK, and I think they're just waiting for that next Maggie ball to come up at the moment. As soon as that comes up, it becomes a little bit of a different game, and they just can't get the communication right here on the double swing. GK to take one player down. It's a really weird exchange between these two.
Well, look where that zone is shifting, by the way. We're going right back down towards Fight Night, as you were mentioning before. So, actually, the position that DINOS find themselves in will be safe for quite some time. Same can be said for GK here. They are going to be right on the edge of where that zone is going to shift in, but they don't feel comfortable there anymore. I think just the pressure that DINOS were laying down, they felt like they had to just create a little bit more space for themselves to work with, so that's why they break away once they had that next Newcastle wall available.
All right, into the northern tip of the map now we find ourselves. Over at Stabilizer, you've got Gamblers and S2 very, very close to each other. Maybe a late Valcolt potentially here for S2 in towards the zone. You're going to see a lot of that in this game, just from the compositions that you're seeing. Also, Alb in the kill feed gets a little knock from distance with the longbow. Can't quite finish it off to guarantee the point for Stallions. Zap's just gone down to the zone, just trying to look at where Shopify Rebellion are at the moment. They're being held out by two teams at the moment over at Power Grid, so they are in a really rough spot. Team Burger and Elite Esports are those two teams. And there is the hold that's coming in. Zap's just gone down again to the zone. He's going to continually be dragged back to his feet, but it can only happen so many times before he's going to get out with basically no health.
Senna finding a couple in that kill feed as well. As teams now struggling to find space as they kind of fight their way towards the Fight Night area. Blink's also gone down, but will be able to be picked up by Monsoon as they're going for their take on the baby comp. It is going to be Caustic instead of that Gibraltar, which means you aren't necessarily as vulnerable to a Maggie, and there is a gap. If there is a will, there is a way, as Thuggets are eliminated.
Dan Matic is not forklift certified. We have just learned out. Sentinels get the kill. It costs them a Caustic ult to do so, but that's what your ability is there for, just to get the job done, to force him to stay in that position. Ninjas in Pyjamas, rough day so far, or a rough E district so far, I should say. Maybe Olympus will be a little bit better to them as they are playing the southern side of the zone. They are safe, and they have their backs cleared as well, and they've got some free shots if they want to take them, but team up on height, you've got to be wary of it. Kurev just found out that they are peeking over. Exchanges the armor, just gives it off to Cole, who will just passively heal that thanks to Controller Legends passive. Keeping the resources in the backpack instead of expending them.
By the way, all the meanwhile, DINOS are still within the ring. And are they going to be joined? Is there going to be a potential brawl? Finally! Ah, no, they retreat. Wait, MT's still in here. DINOS hold their ground.
Jen's going to die! He gets to the bubble. We're all good.
This is, by the way,
Jen is going to die. Jen is going to die. Jen isn't going to die? Jen could die.
What?
Jen's
dying!
Jen's died, and it was all down to the roundhouse kick. Free Thinker's just been eliminated in the meantime. That is slightly frustrating if you're Jen, and that's slightly frustrating if you're Team Burger. But it works. Finally, the ring strap bears fruit.
I mean, that ring is still going to be in zone. Sentinels are now in the ring with DINOS, by the way. Take us back! Oh, okay. Anyway, we're going to go for an S2 listening and see how they're doing.
Just to move this wall, bro. We do not want to die because the wall is bad. Peeky left. Care. I have you. They can do that. Keep that in mind. I got power boost as well. I have wall in 10, okay? Get ready to move. Yeah, this is definitely want to move out of this. Wall in 5.
Save on me. Look at left.
Save on me too. Wall in 2. On me. Okay, I'm doing it. Walling now. Nice, go wall.
We're going to be fine now.
Yep. We can't get Maggie. I think this...
Guys, we're in there. Our spy is so insane.
Yeah. I'm gonna hold my ultra cells now.
They're just shooting.
We just shoot across.
Shoot this fucking team off. Don't let them break the wall.
I'm shooting out their middle.
Yeah, shoot out their middle wall.
Yeah, they attacked it.
Yep.
Love the position from S2 as well. They repositioned the secondary wall as well down, and the baby comp is going to allow them to survive for quite some time here. Had to be careful of the peak coming in from Crazy Thieves, but the comms, a good amount of intensity, but also very clear. No mistakes being made in those comms.
Yeah, the idea for S2 is going to be holding that position and then potentially Valk ulting a little bit later to get up into the sky and over that wall. It'll be a very interesting position they will find themselves in, but for now they're going to be safe. NIP are the team that has to still move in. All the meanwhile, by the way, Sen were able to bully DINOS out of the boxing ring, and now Sen will be able to control it. They're going to be the team that holds it because it is going to be within the final circle. Temporarily, you can hold that ring, but as soon as you exit it, you might be very vulnerable. So I wonder if Sen will move early. As we take a look to GK, they've been able to reposition a little bit as well. They are not going to be within this next zone, so they're going to have to move when this zone closes.
By the way, if I'm in the ring right now, ALGS game, very, very intense. I'm hitting the emotes. I'm just got to say, like, who's going to push you mid-emote? No one. Shopify Rebellion have lost that. Yeah, so they lost him to zone. They have managed to get in. Luckily, they didn't lose the Valkyrie player in Koifel, so they have been able to get into zone and slam this corner. But with 16 squads remaining as a duo, very difficult to see them having success in this game.
Look at the amount of like builder base that we're seeing as well. So many Newcastle castle walls that are going to be in every single corner. If you look at a corner, there is a Newcastle wall there. As NIP now having to start to make their way through, they will be able to just about get onto this bridge and could be to the detriment of S2, who are going to be right below them. But there is bubbles galore. Elite Esports get eliminated. We're down to 15.
The Buckle Boys taking damage as well. Crawl Buckle's got to go huge here. Madness is down. Last player is being res. Tries to swing. Has to be careful of the zone closing though. And I'm not sure he's going to be safe in this corner. No, he's not. Takes up to the skies. Avoids everybody else. And then Oobs down. Can he pop a cell or a medi before he gets into the zone? Syringe will do. The overflow will help as well. But where's he going to land? And is it going to be safe? No. Buckle Boys are eliminated, but 12 squads now remain as Crazy Thieves have to make their play. Continue to hold this spot that they've held for the majority of this game.
7 kills for Crazy Thieves so far. Shopify Rebellion will be eliminated, down to 11 squads. Sen are still holding the boxing ring at the moment, but DINOS are starting to press them for round 2. But now Crazy Thieves can walk on in and absolutely obliterate both Full 11 and Stallions here and take full control of this northern side. And they'll have a little bit of time to reset as we check in with said boxing ring, which Sen now own. The trouble is, while this strategy gets you to this point on set, when you leave this ring, you are inevitably going to be a target.
Exactly 2,000 damage for fun, which is very, very pleasing for my brain. But what is next for them? That's the real question here. They do have the Newcastle in Monsoon. I think it's going to be his responsibility to get a wall down somewhere. Can play that side of the staircase potentially on the right-hand side. Get a wall down in that corner and look to fire forward. But they've got to be careful. I think that's DINOS down on that low ground. Excuse me, it's Source Gaming. No, it's DINOS, excuse me, who are looking at them. Source Gaming also having a look at them as well. JD Gaming are up on height still, but as the zone closes, JD Gaming won't be able to look down from that height. So they might be able to just get out and get a wall down.
I mean, this is going to be a very entertaining end zone to say the least. Crazy Thieves sadly can't survive on that northern side. Because that's the thing, they were held out by S2 in the end after the play that they made. NIP want to try and do something similar here from this eastern side, but look at the damage that Sen have taken as they tried to get out. And here is Monsoon making his way through. Castle comes down, but Monsoon has fallen.
Lynx is going to decide he's just going to go to the skies, try and avoid some of this carnage that's happening. He gets hit by a wayward rocket from the defensive bombardment from a Gibraltar. He will be able to land here, and Fun might be able to look to res his teammate if Blinkster can get somewhat close to him. Is that corner they're going to be playing? ROC make their play as well. As S2 watch all of this going down. Dino's just been eliminated as well. A couple of reses coming in. That's going to be the end of Blinkster, who appears straight into the reticle of Carter. And now we saw Lota going a little bit crazy early on. Well, it's his turn now, Carter, to show what he's made of. Sentinels full. Source Gaming will be next as well. We're down to 5.
A huge chance for S2 to catch up Shopify Rebellion, who were eliminated earlier as well. NIP now go down as we're down to just our last 4 squads. And S2 are still very healthy indeed, but they need this bubble sooner rather than later because they are under a lot of pressure from these nades.
Ninjas in Pyjamas have gone. ROC will go as well. And look at the firing range that's just opening up here for S2. We are down to our final 2 teams. It is the baby comp bonanza as S2 will take on GK here.
It's just a temporary reset, but bubbles are about to go down as the standoff starts.
Carter takes to the sky, tries to take that EMP burst, will manage to do so. Carter left on his own now, flies up into the sky as S2 will be the champions of this game here on Olympus. What a game that was. KP galore in the end game as well. They will be a match 4 winners.
And they will overtake Shopify Rebellion, I believe, because of Shopify's early exit. And that's what I was saying before. Yes, Shopify had found themselves in a position where they had a bit of a lead, but now S2 will find their second win of the match day. Only the second team to do that in this region. So very impressive from them.
Yeah, really, really good game from them. One thing I loved about is how efficiently they held out Crazy Thieves as the zone started to close. Really good wall in that corner as well. And then little tech thing there that you saw from Valkyrie as well on Carl, you know, just skimming that EMP bubble as a Valkyrie as you go up into the sky completely discharges it. The rest of your teammates can then fight in and around that bubble without worrying about being stunned. You come back down in that end game, fire a Q off, fire a missile swarm, land and do a little bit of damage. It's beautifully executed, and I think that S2 are really showing signs that they are a team to be feared. A great leader in Zach Mazer, we know that, but now he's got the two players alongside him who seem to have the firepower to go along with those decisions that are being made.
And it does come down to that, and especially in a meta like this, in final circles, where, sure, positioning is everything, but sometimes just firepower and hitting those shots can make the difference. S2 are full of that, and we have to give credit to Lota. I mean, he has just come leaps and bounds, improving every single time he features here in Pro League. Year 6 maybe is his year, and might be Zach Mazer's year to be back on top as well with this roster. Who knows? But they will be first place going into match 5.
Yeah, I mean, everybody on this team has their own story. That's one of the great things about watching the ALGS. So many teams have their stories, have their background, have their history, their highs and their lows. And Lauren, it's great to see Zach, back IGLing 2 players, young talent, and he's doing it in the best way possible.
He most certainly is, and I'm just going to put it out there. I asked if we were going to get a repeat win before we went into this, and we get a repeat win, okay? So, I mean, we were looking for the consistency. Now the second team in the region to do, but Dan, your face looks so unimpressed right now. What's the face for?
It's impossible to cheer him up today. I don't know what's got into him. He just wants to fight everyone. He saw Fight Night. He saw the ring.
Be in the boxing ring.
Yeah, he just wants to throw hands. I get it. I understand it.
No, I was making a face because I was wrong.
He was wrong. I didn't want to say
think
that
we would
part.
get repeat winners.
I didn't want to say that part. I was going to let it rock, you know? But
let it rock.
You called it out.
But I mean, if anyone's like with S2, the fact they did it from that position as well was even more impressive, because it didn't look like they were going to be able to find that spot. But the fact they got into that position and then were able to bully those teams away from them, it just shows what an impressive team they are at the moment from every aspect of them, from the calls being made by Zach to the firepower that we see from the other 2 players. Just incredible to watch. And it means that Shopify Rebellion dropped the ball a little bit. They allow S2 to take the lead. Will we see the response from Shopify Rebellion?
Quickly highlight here, Lauren. Sorry to jump in, but S2 not just doing this replacement, they got 32 kills. Shopify next closest in the lobby with 23. They are frying S2.
And if we're going to keep talking about him, yeah, we might as well throw it up here too, because Zach Mazer's our current kill leader with almost 50% of those kills, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, with all due respect to Zach, lovely dude, love the dude to death, but didn't expect to see that name at the top of the leaderboards with the way that Lota and Kara have been shooting so far. But obviously something is working in the synergy of all 3 players that's allowing Zach to get these touches onto players, to be involved in these fights and get these kills going his way. It's phenomenal to see that. I mean, if your IGL is leading the way with kills, you've got Carter just in behind him as well with 10. It's all looking good for these boys at the moment.
And honestly, shout out to Sentinels as well. We've kind of seen them have a little bit of a come up today. You see Fun up here, second place on our kill leaderboard. And after that match, they now move up yet again into top 3. So they're also looking, almost, you know, like you said earlier, Dan, I'll give you this one. Is it the org buff?
A little bit of an org buff. Fun second on the damage dealt leaderboard as well. Just to go back, Lota, by the way, is the damage leader on that team. So Zach finding the kills, not far behind, but Lota is up there as the leader. But for Sentinels, it has been such a good day for them to respond to being picked up by that org, to put the name back on the map, as it were. They still have the opportunity to catch up the leaders as well with the 2 remaining matches. And I'm not surprised. After scrims, they looked like they were far more comfortable. We were kind of asking ourselves, were they struggling just against Group B, because they did have a little bit of a disappointing week previously, but it looks like they have found their form once more here.
Love to see it, and talk about the timing of it too, because we only have got 2 more matches left on the day. So every single one of these points will count for these squads that are looking to get themselves into one of those top spots. It's time for us to head into match number 5, which also means it's time for us to say goodbye to you, Dan. Take a little bit of a break as Mark and I dive back into Olympus. Newcastle no longer in the conversation, Mark. It's time to see what our teams can do yet again.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a fair bit of Gibby, maybe some Sears starting to appear as well as teams get a little bit more desperate for some KP that are down at the bottom of the leaderboard. Maggie's still in the conversation as well, and Maggie's certainly going to have an impact as well with Newcastle being removed. The Gibby bubble does not really have a backup now with a queue and a wall behind it, so Maggie Drill really does become a problem if you're choosing to run that Gibraltar. But we might also see a little bit of Valk, Gibby, plus Watson at this point as well. We'll have to see if that's going to be a composition that people run to try and counter some of those defensive bombardments coming in from Gibraltar. But it's going to be interesting to see which way teams start to lean. Is it going to be more offensive in your composition? Is it going to be a little bit more classical, closer to that Gibraltar-based Valkyrie comp? Let's see what happens in this one.
Yeah, and will that decision on which direction you want to lean be determined by how you've played today? Are these teams, you know, if they're feeling comfortable and confident, are they going to be going for more aggro, or are they going to be comfortable kind of being a little bit more defensive and letting everybody else take those risks? It'll be, like you said, it will be interesting to see how everything is divided as we get a quick refresher here on what we were just highlighting. S2 at the top, Sentinels now top 3, Shopify up there in second. And honestly, is this the top 3 you thought you were going to get, Mark?
I mean, it was not far off, if I'm honest with you. I think there's a few teams up here who have been forming extremely well. You've seen a rise in form over this week from Shopify Rebellion. Sentinels, a rise in form over scrims. S2 very, very consistent in scrims. It feels like they have won a lot of scrim days in recent times. Team Burger, hey, surprise, surprise, they're between 3rd and 5th. It's just what they do. Crazy Thieves, Jen's back. That's a boost to them. I think the only disappointment so far has been Ninjas in Pyjamas and maybe ROC. Really haven't seen too much from them in any game at all, even getting towards the end game. Can't really remember too many opportunities for either of those teams to have their name spoken. Liquid had that win in game 1 and kind of fallen off since. But yeah, it's interesting to see that the form from scrim seems to be carrying over here into the match day.
100%. Definitely, like you said, a little bit of a fall from grace for NIP, but still some opportunities left for them, whether that's in this series or in the rest of the split, to return to that form that we saw that's been putting them at the top of the region thus far prior to today's match day. I am excited to get into these last 2 matches. We've had a very fun day. We got our 2nd repeat winner in the entire region, Stallions being the squad that had kind of held that title up until this point, because it has not been happening that consistently at all, period, especially if you start to look at EMEA when you start looking at those stats as well. So now we're back on Olympus and trying to see who could do it again.
Well, let's see where the zone is going to be going as well. S2 deserve the POV as they loot up, because that was a fantastic performance in that previous game, and I'm so impressed by the kills that they're picking up as well. It's not one thing that has always been like a little bit of a discussion point is like Babycom can kind of get you to an end game pretty easily, but even if you win a game, usually you don't have a huge amount of kills from it, just because of the amount of barriers that are up. It's kind of teams just picking 1 or 2 off of each other. But S2 found a way to really make it work in that game and put up a huge amount of kills. So a huge amount of credit has to go for them for the way they navigated that game. As far as the zone is concerned, we are going up towards the northwest. And this is a very interesting zone, possibly pulling towards where Shopify Rebellion find themselves, just north of Gardens.
Get a good look here at who else that could potentially benefit. Sentinels up in that area. You've got Crazy Thieves over there. Definitely an opportunity for that bounce back we were talking about out of NIP, depending on what they're able to do. As we see DINOS already making a very quick rotation to start putting themselves in a better spot. And one of the things that I do want to shout out back on S2 as well, you were talking about how their kills are so high while they're also at the top of the leaderboard. And we saw that in EMEA with Making You Great Again, how they were very kill heavy, but they weren't able to find the wins. And the fact that we find that combo now on S2 here in Americas, where they're getting all of that KP while also still finding multiple wins, that means this is a team everybody needs to keep their eyes on.
Well, J Future's got to be very, very careful here, as they're going to be playing around with the portal, deciding if they want to go in, they want to go out, or if they want to just try and survive. Revival We'll be able to get healthy here. January should be able to comfortably pop a couple of cells without taking too much damage. They are going to just kind of slowly move away from DINOS. Full 11 are coming up behind them as well, which makes things extremely unpredictable. But look at the kill feed at the start. It's fun with the longbow onto Koifel from Shopify Rebellion. Now, there's usually a bit of distance between two players when that is the case, so they should be safe to reset here. But Sentinels are bang center zone already. Crazy Thieves are right next to them, so the two teams who are up at the top of the leaderboard, who have been consistent all day, have got great spots to play.
And Sentinels just being annoying enough to keep Shopify super aware and a little bit on the back foot. Meanwhile, Revival also on the back foot. Madness barely surviving with a sliver of health as they are trying to escape Crazy Thieves right now.
Yeah, Crazy Thieves maybe banking on a zone, one of the rift zones that pulls up towards this eastern side. Revival going to have to live up to their own name here. It's going to be Mello who's going to stick the res onto his IGL Madness, who wasn't able to survive, but a little bit of a passive perk's going to have his health coming back nice and quickly. This is one of those zones where it feels like if you're not here early, you might be in a little bit of trouble. Looking across the teams who are playing Valkyrie, that's going to be certainly an impactful legend as to how teams can choose to play this game if they're not here early. They can do that classic play for purple perks, Valcolt in later, and land and use a gimme bubble to survive. But without Newcastle, it becomes a little bit more risky, as does getting your trident drilled. It's never a nice feeling, and Sacred's got to be careful here. They're going to have to jump out, Stallions. They're going to have to reset. It's been a rough day for them. Just 9 points.
That was stressing me out for a second. Sacred stayed on just a little bit longer than I would have liked there. That was a lot of damage just to get themselves into a totally different position. More tridents coming out, more bubbles trying to protect people as they make these rotations. Stallions will get the reset here. No one really pushed chasing them down. They do have Liquid in the vicinity though, and looks like Panic is already taking some damage.
Yeah, Panic's in a real horrible spot here, and he's getting CQ'd crazy. Al's gonna pop with that charge rifle, can't quite connect. Good exchange of fire coming in from Team Liquid, but that defensive bombardment is hurting Team Liquid. You can see it. And those cheeky angles coming in from Sacred on the Valkyrie as well is making it very difficult for Liquid to feel comfortable at any point. And they just about managed to survive. It looks like Stallions here, the Trident coming in behind them. That's going to be the unpredictable Free Thinkers flying in, and that's going to allow Liquid now to survive. Stallions are thinking, what are you doing? We had kills.
I did not think Free Thinkers were just going to jump on them like that. It's all down to Sacred, who takes to the sky in an attempt to try to survive, takes a lot of damage while doing that, and barely makes it out with a sliver of life, potentially saving Stallion's future, but we'll have to see if this was enough.
By the barest of all margins, he manages to escape, and Team Liquid are like, we love Free Thinkers. What a great decision that was, boys. Thank you for that. We'll pick up some KP. Now we'll look to fight you. Mirage, by the way, little Mirage. Oh, Zero just got absolutely deleted. Luckily, Sykes answered back.
I cannot believe that this was the choice that Free Thinkers made. This is now the result of said choice as they're trying to survive those crosshairs of Team Liquid. And even with Zero down and out, Panic barely with a sliver of health himself, Sykes is still pretty healthy, and Free Thinkers will be eliminated as a result of that absolutely insane push.
As Free Thinkers slowly reveal their Team Liquid shirts that they are wearing underneath their jerseys. That is quite something. Team Liquid, they'll love them. A lot of subs coming to the channel, I'd imagine, of those guys. But yeah, Liquid get bailed out in that situations, and Stallions get hurt by it. Sacred is still alive. 50% on the Valcolt, not exactly what you want. He's very, very low on meds as well, so he's going to have to work his way into zone and look for a way to get his teammates back into the game. But Liquid come out of that with KP, come out of that with a couple of opportunities to clear space and walk their way towards zone. They will be more than happy as the zone continues to move to that northern side like we thought it would.
Trying to see if there were any crafters for Stallions to try and recover off of. Check in with that just a little bit later. As you can see, DKK making their way across. Liquid now also moving in all these squads from the west side. Still keeping an eye on S2, seeing what they're able to do with this game. Meanwhile, literally the rest of the lobby has all moved in where they need to go for this next circle. And things are starting to get quite congested. S2 making a nice wide rotate there on the northern side. Going to be coming in through Power Grid.
Yeah, they're just going to be playing for Evo, get up to purple, do the baby comp thing. That's what they're going to do. Hit the survey beacon. They can jump into Fight Night for that ring console if they want as well, to get even more information about where they want to land when they do hit that Valcolt eventually. Elsewhere, On the deeper side of zone, moving through gardens is going to be full 11. Full 11, Source Gaming and Thuggets, all very close to each other here.
You know, there was a second where I thought Full 11 might try to get in on the fight with Team Liquid. They decide to back off, play it a little bit more conservatively. And now we find them on a rotation with a little bit of space to work with, moving into the next circle pretty safely. So I think that was a smart choice by them to not force anything that they didn't want to be a part of. Should give them a little bit of room here on the south side. And they could potentially look for yet another third-party opportunity in the event that Source and Thuggets decide to do some back-and-forth poking.
Well, good news for Stallions fans and good news for the mental of all of those players is they have managed to reset. They will be over at Turbine. They will be able to get Ring Console and Survey Beacon. They can essentially mirror now what we saw S2 doing a few moments ago. As we take a look at the overall leaderboards, S2 still at the top of the leaderboard. Shopify Rebellion in behind, Sen, CRT, Burger, all the big teams up there. Team Liquid also with a chance to strike as well, not too far away. Inside of Rift, though, it's starting to become a little bit busy, as you can see by all of these buildings. I'm trying to think of what to call these buildings. I want to call them apple pie buildings, but it's not catchy. But you get what I'm saying.
Is that what your type of an apple pie looks like?
Well, not really. I mean, I'm actually not a bad chef, but even I would be disappointed if my apple pie came out looking like that.
We'll workshop it. I see where you're going with it, though.
We've accidentally replaced the flour with concrete. It happens.
Happens to the best of us, at least once in the baking journey. Then meanwhile, we're checking back in with Thuggets. They are still kind of circling Source Gaming. No one's really committed to a push here in the same way that Free Thinkers would. Or did. RIP. But it looks like neither one of these teams...
Gone but never forgotten, let me tell you that. Full 11 just been eliminated, by the way, by Team Liquid, and that's really important over at Gravity Engine, because Liquid get those kills, they clear out Grav Engine, and there's a Mythic bin spawn in there as well. So Liquid are going to be able to assault this zone with everything they could want.
I wish I saw how Full 11 rotated in there too, because I was wondering what they were going to do with that position, knowing they were so close to Team Liquid. Stallions looking for any sort of area that they can push through right now. Gamblers were in their way, so they're just trying to do a little bit of a wider rotation around to see if maybe there's a safer spot for them with less eyes looking their direction. But things are not going to be easy for them because there are so many teams looking to move in from the exact same area. Liquid being one of them. Gamblers still trying to peek out and see if they can maybe do a bit of poke damage, and DKK, DINOS all in that area. Liquid will potentially have to choose one of those ways to head through, and if they just keep eliminating squads in the way that they have, I wouldn't want to be running through them right now.
Yeah, Liquid already with some KP on board, already won a few team fights, and now they might go up against Stallions. You can see they're rotating towards them. I think they heard them. They got to be careful because Sacred's managed to find himself an over armor, so he's going to have a lot of HP to play with in this fight. Syke's trying to get in a position to cover his teammate Panic, who needs to heal alongside Zero. So he's going to take the front line. And it looks like Stallions maybe just backing down and taking a second to reset themselves. But Zero looks like he wants to take this fight and clear his back, or at least force Stallions away.
Stallions don't want a repeat of what just happened. They are trying to leave to play this a little bit more conservatively, and Liquid are going on the hunt right now. Stallions' backs are to Liquid, forcing a bubble just for protection as they try to move away, and Panic still trying to move up and see what he can do. Hits one shot with that wingman. But this is probably the moment where even if they get those shield cracks... Wait, Stallions end up getting eliminated. They take damage on the other side.
Yeah, Liquid do their job. They just pinch them. They just clear the way in front of them, and Stallions will be taken down. It's a rough day for them. So far, only one game to go after this one, but Team Liquid, their job there was to either kill Stallions or force them into a position to keep their rotate open. So Liquid do a really good job. DKK may be their next target as well, as S2 hold this high ground just outside of Rift. They'll be holding out the two teams I just mentioned. Let's jump into a listening now with S2 and see what they're talking about.
He's coming for me. He's shooting me.
Right, 174! 174! Not a troll!
I'm insta-taking port. I'm insta-taking it.
They're gonna have a spike on the port. They're gonna have a spike on the port.
No.
Talk about safe spots.
We're good. They drilled me. Careful. Save on me, guys.
On me. Get on me temporarily.
Get on me as well. I have a spike there. I don't know how good it is, though.
Bro, I can just drop, like, breach charge your door, Maggie ball in, and we can just look for a kill. Carter, breach charge that window, and you peek that window, while me and Lauder peek this window.
I can.
You guys ready?
You're ready.
Peeking my Zach.
Going. Peeking?
Nade, Carter.
Nice.
Slow. They can't reset. Slow.
I can hit the door after. I can hit
for one time. We just get spikes. We're getting mirrored. We're getting mirrored. Reset.
I'm sliding back.
We need to peek this window and start nading.
I'm peeking.
Can we nade the window?
Nading it. Nading it. In the corner.
I can peek my doorway again. Actually, no, I can't.
Take off though. Take off, guys. Hold on, in the corner.
Go in.
Nading. They face on me.
Can we go back? Look right. Slow on right.
We're getting wrapped.
Shoot off right. No, just shoot him off. He's not full committing.
Yep, I can go second.
I'm peeking it.
Slide down. He's running back. We're good.
First take first. Water, take her first.
What is that team doing? What is that team doing?
They're running back.
Guys, we need to go for a double evac.
You can hear the influence that Zach has on this team, you know, just calling slow after the initial plan is executed. Also, I stand corrected. I thought S2 were going to be playing Valkyrie in this game. They are not, so they don't have that Skyward Dive available, so they're having to tiptoe their way forward. We've lost a few squads in the last few moments as well on that garden side, and Shopify Rebellion are looking to clear out the south now.
This could be an opportunity for them to finish off DINOS here while Liquid goes down in the kill feed. That riot drill will finish the work they were hoping to complete. DINOS eliminated, and Shopify now own this south side. As I say that, though, it looks like they could potentially be getting jumped on by Source Gaming in the same vicinity.
Zanu just took a headbutt from a Maggie ball. And that's going to make things very, very difficult. It's a 1v3. Shopify Rebellion not take the second to clear and make sure that that was the last team arriving through their choke. I think they thought they'd already done the work. It's S2 now force their way in towards zone, and it's NIP who are going to be in their way. They take out players from them. They swing into the bubble. They want to get this trident destroyed. Zach has to be careful. DKK or GK are down in the feed as well, and S2 have got to be careful here and recover.
Will they be able to get the reset here? Do they have enough time? No. As I say that, they're getting another knock. Loader's the only person left alive, looking to see if a wall would save him. It's not going to. S2 is eliminated. NIP follows shortly after, though. So ROC up here in this northern side has completely cleared their space.
Yeah, I mean, infinite ammo Kraber. Say what you want about it, but it certainly is effective if you have it in your hands. And Madness has hit some really big shots today, and he's got a chance to give a few short back and side haircuts to any player who wants to peek on that head glitch as well. They will have to rotate in a few moments time, though, as he'll be given the opportunity to pass his armor off lovingly to his teammates who passively heal that one. CRT still in behind them as well, trying to hold them out, but the armor advantage is with Revival, who have to move up onto Crazy Thieves. So an interesting kind of mix of what team does what with different advantages as Gamblers will be the next out. 6 teams remain.
That was a solo, if I'm not mistaken, on Gamblers too, who was just trying to wrap, but ended up getting spotted out as we get to see what Crazy Thieves are trying to do. They were trying to clear out Revival, who decide to move in. So that gives a little bit of space to Crazy Thieves while Revival bounce back and forth, trying to decide which position's going to be better. You do have JD Gaming in the area as well. Source looking from safety to see if anyone's moving in from this western side. They're looking to see if they could maybe get a pick here. Rock Esports, though, talked about them a little bit earlier, still safe and alone on this northern side. They could potentially move in and kind of pick off JD Gaming if they get involved in any of these other squads.
And they do have Valkyrie in the composition, Rock, so they're going to be able to just take to the skies. That's why they're not too worried. The fact that they are quite a long way from where this end game is going to be taking place. They have options. They have a Catwall. They have a Valkyrie. Sentinels, who have been in this position pretty much from the very first second of this game, now going to have to rely on the Catwall to walk their way forward towards this zone. And you can see that Fun is trying to line this one exactly to the pixel to make sure that their cover is perfect.
Thankfully, they don't have too far to go, and things are starting to kick off with these teams on the western side. You can see a fight here going on this hill. You've got Crazy Thieves down here on the bottom, taking a little bit of damage in the back, forcing them to look opposite direction. And they do have Revival straight ahead of them. Source Gaming waiting in the wings as well. So right now, it's about prioritizing who they're going to take the fight with first.
Well, RSC took to the skies. They have now landed from their Valkyrie ult. Phony's going to send a Maggie ball forward, but he's going to get eaten up, and he's going to find himself eating one himself. The bubble goes down, which is perfectly timed. They don't really take any unnecessary damage or have real impact to their team from that Maggie ball that hit them. Maggie ball just really not being timed perfectly. They had that bubble available to fall back onto, but now they don't, because Jen is down. That's the Gibraltar down, and all of a sudden Crazy Thieves are in a really rough spot with JDG running at them, and floating does not need to be asked twice. Crazy Thieves are eliminated. They'll be out next in the lobby.
And I was just about to say what a tough corner JDG was in. Instead, they are able to turn the tables. Revival now in a tough spot as well, down to just January, trying to survive here. See if they can maybe get a res onto Mellow, but that's certainly not going to happen. It is now down to a solo, which means you've got a full Source Gaming, a full Sentinels, and Rock waiting in the wings. JDG have recovered, and they have backed off just a bit.
Team who's in center zone is ROC though. You can see them right at the northern side. A couple of knocks came in, but they've managed to get the res. They managed to get stable. They are going to be taking a lot of damage from high. This is about survival for ROC down on that low ground. In the middle is Sentinels, but they're going to find themselves a little bit pinched here, as JD Gaming might be able to walk up and pick up a few KP towards this end game. It's a really tough position for Sentinels, this. They've got to be aware of the height. They've got to be aware of Source Gaming. But they also know that ROC could look up at them if they needed to and climb up on that fight.
Sentinels do have the Valk if they want to try and use that to maybe try and escape this as they get collapsed on and try to avoid the pinch. I don't know how useful it could be for them.
Only blue armor though, so they're only going to have the blue perk, so they can't take off to the skies immediately. It's a big risk if they do it.
It is a big risk, and as we say that, the collapse is happening. Teams are starting to move. JDG have moved up just a little bit closer to where Source, Revival, Sentinels are, and Rock are just waiting in the wings.
Sentinels taking damage. This was my worry for them. Monsoon is taken down. Fun is having to pop a battery. Revival have been eliminated. That was the solo. So now it's Sentinels, Source Gaming, JDG, and Rock Esports, as Source Gaming still control this high ground of the zone. Sorcerer taken down. It's actually Blinkster who finds another KP for Sentinels. Maggie Moore going to go in. You hear the big shield cracks, and all of a sudden Sentinels are in a struggling position. The Catwall goes down. It's desperation. Center out.
They just had no space to move. It opens up a little bit for Source Gaming, who drop down and try to see if they can move in onto JDG, but it is still Rock Esports waiting in the wings to watch this fight happen. Which wall will go down first?
Well, it looks like the height is controlled by ROC all of a sudden. They are the kings of the tower, so to speak. And Shubi has no idea what way to look. He's in a little bit of a blender here. Naughty. 4 seconds until that bubble comes back, and maybe they can use that to climb up. ROC have been dealt with, though, as they take out Source Gaming, and that just opens the door for JDG. They survive long enough to be the benefactors of Source Gaming and ROC fighting. They climb up with a simple finish. They'll be your champions of Game 5.
I don't think anybody could decide who they wanted to focus on in those final moments.
I agree. It was you please, everyone thinking to each other, you fight please, we'll third it. Exactly. And it was like, no, we don't want to do that, we want a third. It's like, okay.
What a clutch out of JD Gaming. For a second, I thought that maybe they had one of the scarier positions until it just swings in their favor. Great job clutching that up, because that was a bit chaotic for them to really be focusing on, and they were able to use that wall, that lip of that wall, just a little bit extra to give themselves the little bit of extra time and space that they needed. Shout out to JDG for being able to clutch up match number 5.
Yeah, good performance for them. They end up with 8 KP alongside the 12 placement points as well. Finally, a little bit of a sign of life from ROC as well. Rock Esports, 8 KP, 9 placement points for second. 17 points could be really, really impactful for them as well. But as you look down, like, not a really lot of points outside of the top 3 in that game. So it was a point sponge at the top of the leaderboards for those 3 teams. Everyone else struggling a little bit. Shopify, I think, will be a little bit frustrated, because it felt like they'd done everything they needed to do to end up controlling that southern side, and that's where Source Gaming ended up essentially getting 3rd place from. So if they would have just maybe taken a second, make sure that their back is clear, not thinking the job was done, they could have had a really, really big point contributing game there, Shopify.
Yeah, that was definitely a bit rough for them, but still promising signs. Even if this match doesn't necessarily go their way, promising signs out of Shopify Rebellion, enough to at least keep them here in 2nd place. But that win will bump JD Gaming up to 3rd, just barely over Sentinels. Only 6 points separating 3rd and 4th, with only 1 point separating 2nd and 3rd. So things could continue to change. Teams can continue to leapfrog each other, even with the last match left on the board.
So just looking down at the other end of the leaderboards, there's a couple of teams who need a little bit of help, and a couple of teams who might need some help with players are in the Challenger circuit right now. And a reminder, Lauren, that you can register now if you want to. Lauren, I want to see you playing at it. Oh, no, we're not allowed, are we? No, we're actually not allowed. We're not allowed, but everyone else should.
That's just, we're not allowed because they know
It'd
we
be
would
over.
win.
Yeah, it's too easy for us.
Exactly. So for everybody else, you know, register and maybe get up here on the main broadcast. So
As
we can
Dan
talk
said,
about you.
you're a fantastic map reader, which I don't know what to say about that.
Certainly not the best compliment, for sure. But we'll address that with him later on. While we consider all of the slights that Dan has delivered us on this day, we're going to send it to a short break. And while we let our players prepare for match number 6, and when we return, we'll determine who wins match day 5 in the Americas. Don't go anywhere.
Sony InZone, the official audio and monitor partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Charged and ready.
Quit farting about, would ya?
Just give me a shot and I'll shine like the sun.
Follow me. Can't catch what you can't see. Enemy drone here. My light shines bright.
Hey, let's have fun, friend.
Beauty is pain.
This is gonna be fun, brother.
Everybody, welcome back. Don't even start. No, what? I have been nothing but a beacon of positivity and radiant life in this game and this day, Dan. I mean, I don't know what's got into you today, but I hope you had a little break, you had some food, you had a little bit of a hydrate, you had a Red Bull, and now you're feeling better. Welcome back. Great to have you back, by the way. Excited to have you back ahead of this match number 6.
There's two ways I could approach this. All right? I could triple down and be the bad guy. I was catching strays. I wasn't even here, but I guess
literally repeated what you
the
said.
Same, but yeah, well, you didn't have to. You just now
you didn't have to say it in the first place.
Well, that's true, but I think it came across differently how I intended. Anyway, Maggie is going to be banned, so there's going to be a lot of Gibraltars. I think in EMEA, when we got to this situation, we had 18 Gibbies in the game, so I wonder if Americans can top that. Maybe we'll get 19.
Yeah, it's interesting to see there's barely a Gibby counter now, so Gibby's going to be very, very strong. Maybe a little bit of Watson. Oh, no, Watson's gone, so you can't have some Watson. Yep. That's not going to be the case. Yeah, everyone's playing Gibby Valk. That's how it's going to be pretty much in this game by the looks of things. You might see a little bit of more Seer popping up, though, as a potential Gibby counter. One thing that you can counter with is, you know, Seer queuing, and then you can't use your bubble, you can't use your abilities as much. So that certainly is an option. We'll have to see what the teams are going to be running as we head into our final game of the day. By the way, I've had fun today, Dan. I have to say, it's been an absolute blast for you, Lauren. As always, I'm sure that everybody who's been watching has had a good day as well, unless maybe you're a fan of one of those teams who's down at the bottom of the leaderboards. But hey, there's always another match day ahead.
It's been a great day. I love you both dearly, regardless of the shade that's thrown around. It is all meant with good intent to build us, to be stronger with one another and a unit next time we are together. But certainly match 6 is going to be a very important one because we still have to find out who on earth is going to win this darn thing, because it is only a 12-point gap between first place and second place. And as we saw in EMEA, that gap can be closed very quickly. And to be honest, as we saw in this series, remember when Shopify Rebellion were like 14 points clear of S2 and then suddenly S2 leapfrogged them? Can Shopify do it, or will we see the back-to-backs from JD out of nowhere to maybe take this entire series? It's still very much on the cards.
Yeah, it's a really interestingly poised final game as well, how the leaderboards could look. You know, Shopify, if they come out of today's action with a second place or challenging for first, that's massive. But if they have a dud final game and JD, Sentinels, Crazy Thieves, ROC are all close enough to potentially overtake them as well, they could be down in 5th or 6th, and that is a very different feeling day when you've worked so hard to get up into second place. So a lot of pressure on Shopify Rebellion. S2, a lot of the heavy lifting has been done at the top of that leaderboard, but they just have to close out here, Dan.
And that's what I was mentioning in EMEA is, you know, just moving up from, like, let's say 7th to 6th. Those extra points on the overall standings could be the difference maker from you getting to LAN or getting to not. Or for some teams, you know, the difference between getting 11th and 10th could be the difference to getting to regional finals or not. Every point counts, every placement counts, and this match 6 is going to be very important, I'm sure, when we look back on it, for a lot of these teams and their destiny in Pro League.
I mean, Shopify needed this week. It's as simple as that. You look at the likes of Ninjas in Pyjamas, ROC, not great weeks, but they've done a lot of work in the previous match days to give them a little bit of a cushion. It feels like Shopify just can't afford a bad day if they want to be at that split one playoffs LAN at the Esports World Cup, and they're going to have to work very, very hard from here on out, and they've done a lot of hard work so far today. We'll have to see if they can continue that here, but JDG deserve the POV because they were the winners of Game 5 and have moved themselves up into 3rd position with that big win.
And there's your first Gibraltar on your screen, and there's going to be 16 in the lobby, so that is a lot. It's a lot of bubbles to play with. 12 Valkyries, 12 Caustics. So the most popular comp is Caustic, Gibby, and Valkyrie. Behind that is Caustic, Gibby, and Wraith. But then you have a few people playing Catalyst. There are 7 Catalysts in the lobby, so people are trying to experiment. 5 Bangalores as well. Only the single Seer. So only the one team who are maybe reading this one and saying, hey, there's a good chance the Seer could actually make a real difference for us in some of these engagements. And we're seeing 1 Mirage as well, which we have seen a few sprinkles of Mirage throughout the day. We'll see if that can make the difference as we're now heading down to the southeast of the map. We're going down towards Solar Array and Somers University.
Yeah, looking like it's going to pull to those fields outside of Somers. By the looks of things, just from the cut-off of one of those buildings on the north side, it would be very unlikely it does go to that northern side of the zone that you can see. A lot of teams probably getting very excited at the idea of a Grow Tower zone that we haven't seen today, by the way. Not happy about that.
You do love a Grow Tower.
Listen, I like consistency in my life, Dan.
Especially 3
of
them.
New things scare me.
Yeah, we like to keep things familiar just so we're comfortable and safe, but instead we get change. How dare they? How dare these random zones be random? Instead, we actually have to do our jobs, as we will see now. A lot of teams are going to be using these Tridents to move very quickly down to zone as expected. Not only that though, but yeah, this is what I was about to say. A lot of these areas around Somers can be utilized with the Trident to create kind of hunkered down areas that you can actually utilize.
Bangalore, Gibby, Mirage. The free thinkers.
They're called free thinkers for a reason.
They do what they want. That's what I'm going to say.
They have free will, so they'll play whatever they think might make a difference. And you know what? 14th place, 18 points. Why not? Let's try something a little bit different. See if you can shake up the meta a little bit.
I think free will is the perfect definition of free thinkers. I feel like they're the kind of people who would, like, one of them just stands in the middle of a supermarket and just starts screaming, like, because it's funny, because they can. Like, who's going to stop me? You know what I mean? Oh, they're making it a bit more. They're making it a little bit more of a sensible rotation this time into the back of Somers University, hitting a few 360 There's actually a fakey backside 360 flip on the Trident there. Did you notice that? Just a little bit of... You probably didn't notice the footwork, but it was the way that the Trident moved. It was very specific.
And Ollie 180 nose tap McGee is what I saw.
Close. But that's a Dan Gaskin trick.
They're all skating.
I've seen you do that. Yeah, I've seen you do that.
They'll be fine there, by the way. Once Free Thinkers find their spot, they're good. We probably don't need to check in for them for another like 10 minutes because they should be able to find somewhere to play and call home for quite a while. But it's the teams on the outside who can have more of a journey. Shopify Rebellion, we also will continue to check in on, of course, because they are the ones who are going to be trying to catch up. S2 here, the closest team to them. And S2 are all the way out in Oasis, going to be making a long journey as well. So our two leading teams in the lobby have to move a long, long way.
Yeah, SU playing Gibby Valk in this game, it caught me off guard a little bit that they weren't playing it in the last game. I just expected them with what they've done in scrims recently to be playing that comp, but they are certainly playing it now. They're playing Cat, Gibby, and Valkyrie by the looks of things, so they're going to be able to get that bubble down, get some spikes in it, and have the Dark Veil available to them for their rotates as well. So it's actually not a bad zone for them. They are landing across the map, but with the first place pretty much on lock, if they don't mess up, they can just play nice and slow here. Get up to purple. Valkyrie in! Oh, Shopify! Oh, no. Oh, Shopify. This could be so symptomatic of their split so far. But they answer back! 2v2. Assivian versus Zap. Great spray coming in from Zap, and they're holding on here, Shopify, but they are holding on indeed.
They should be able to get this revive as well. Shopify will cling on by the skin of their teeth. They are going to survive, and they force the opposition back here. It is going to be the gamblers on the other side of this who are gambling to try and find some points for sure, but they're also going to get the revive. Fantastic observing work there, so we caught it onto Zephyr. And now we get the reset and potentially a full engagement once more. This is an isolated fight. No one is close. In fact, the closest team is S2. They're all the way over at Estates.
Cheeky little angle there, firing through the staircase. Shopify. You just get the feeling that maybe there's a little bit of a change of fortune for them.
Gamblers are being the aggressors right now, though, and a lot of time in Apex, the aggressors come out on top. Big damage from the nades.
Bubble goes down. They want to try and take this fight now. Trades across the board. It's a 2v1, if I'm not mistaken, but Zap is down. Koifel's left on his own. Zone is closing. Should be able to get the battery popped here, Dan, but the zone closing is a problem. See ya.
I think Koi's just going to be out of there. I think you have to. You have to just play for, get up into the sky, play for the res. At least you can do the crafter thanks to having Zainu on the Gibby. As now elsewhere, you can also see more action happening. It's GK who are going to be under fire, but they will be able to win out against Source Gaming, who are eliminated in 20th position, and that will be their day done for today. And sadly, at the moment, they were in 12th, so they could drop a couple of positions by falling down here in 20th spot.
Well, for GK, it's been a somewhat quiet day by their own standards, but they are, again, in one of those spots where a win here, a good game, the top 3 with some KP, and they could end up in the top 5, so things can change very, very quickly. And I think that the mental game is something that a lot of players have realized they really need to be strong at in the lobbies at the moment, where it feels like one good game completely changes the outlook of your game across the 6-game series. That's where everyone is at the moment. It is everybody in Sommers if you can get there. And for everyone else, it's going to be a late arrival for them. Shopify, you can see that Koifel is going to be getting the crafted banners in Turbine, so they will be able to reset. S2, once again, just taking their time, a little serene drive across in that Trident towards Terminal, hit ring console. It's a different way to play the game, Dan. It's a relaxing way to play the game.
Somewhat relaxing, although I will say they've taken more ring damage than anyone else in the lobby so far today. So I don't find being in the ring very comfortable. I find it very stressful indeed. I'm constantly worried about my meds, but you know, these pros, they've got it down to a T at this point. But S2, that's how their day's been. They've been rotating around in zone, surviving some incredible rotations actually to try and get into some spots that usually you wouldn't be able to get in, but they've been more than happy to utilize those meds to stay alive. As Thuggets, speaking of staying alive, they might not be staying alive for much longer.
They are getting the full 11 right now. They are getting swung on. They are getting taken out on full 11 to defend their spot beautifully well, taking no damage whatsoever really in that fight. So full 11 doing everything they needed to do there. Matic last player alive. DINOS thinking about accessing the laptop in front of them. Dan, what do you think's on that screen? Don't answer that.
Well, I was going to answer it normally until you said that. The data of how many rings have closed in this area is what is on that screen, Mark. There you go.
Okay.
Do you like that answer?
Is that not cheating? Wait.
So no one knows that that is just another ring console.
You can actually see where the end game is on that. Yeah, just take a look.
I've just leaked it to everyone now. How many people do you think go and check that?
Tower zone. Everyone. Thuggets been eliminated in the meantime. That's our second team to go. Their day will be finished off. That was the solo last player alive, Danmatic, who gets taken down. We did see the majority of that fight taking place as we jump back over to S2 now. They've got a bang ult to deal with. That's a little bit more difficult to navigate with the Gibby bubble.
Similarly to in EMEA earlier when Citadel were at the top, if S2 go down early here, it opens up the doors for the likes of Shopify and JD Gaming to potentially pinch first place away from them. So S2 being very careful about their move, but they are being pressured, and it looks like it's going to be Gamblers again who are going to be the thorn in the side of the lobby leaders right now.
Well, they do have this beautiful head glitch to play here, S2, so it's difficult for Gamblers to really push onto this. Cat spikes go down, not going to be quite good enough to slow Zephyr down, who just manages to peek around that corner, take them out of the equation. Lota's going to throw a couple more out. That barrel's going to be annoying to deal with, though. A caustic ult could be a real problem here for them, unless they got a couple of thermites and nades in the back pocket. But what on earth is that? They are getting pushed from behind by CRT by the looks of things, and yeah, the zone does the fighting for S2. They survive long enough to keep themselves in this game. That's a texture thing that you're not seeing on the observing, by the way. That is a ramp. They're not just hovering in midair.
Probably going to be a heal and then up into the sky. Now, Shopify Rebellion, speaking of up into the sky, will we see that ult from them, or are they going to walk it in? Let's find out with the listening with Shopify Rebellion.
Where?
This shit, sorry.
No, there's a team there.
Team there.
Can we just like get in that little thing right there? On the wall?
I know it.
Oh, wait, no, we're not.
Yeah, I don't think we can live yet. We're not in castle. Is anyone in this building? There's no one in that building. They're evacuating. Wait, do you have Valko?
Yeah,
Valko. Come. I think we looked to land in the tower. Yeah, we land in the tower and we kill them, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. We're playing for that left wrap. Let's take their tower. Yeah, we need to end this guy. We need to end this sewer.
Yeah, I'm slamming him. The top 4.
I'm winning second here. It's a full 3. No.
Slamming this guy.
No way it is.
Lay top.
Yeah, bobbing. I'm taking top. I'm good. You guys good?
He jumped. Yeah,
We're gonna have to kill. Okay, look for red shots if you can. Yeah. Can you hit UAV?
Let it in, yeah.
Can you give him also Valko? Yeah, here. We're gonna shot.
Team out the tower.
Pop that quad, pop that. Holding this. Taking all that. This is taken.
They're the market at the beginning of the stairs, guys.
Are you gonna have Valko?
I'm gonna be at like.
They run over here. Yeah, they're right now. They're gonna Valko probably. Alright, we can.
Oh, I'll tell you what, my heart was in my mouth then. I think Shopify fans and Shopify players were feeling the same. They thought it was a do-up on height, and as they got a little bit closer, the Valkyrie scan comes in and they hit to full 3, but luckily, they managed to land, and the team gives up that floor. So a scary moment that's worked out. They now have UAV to play with that survey beacon, so they're going to know where everyone is, Dan, but that was a terrifying moment.
Yeah, I think the third player was a Valkyrie who was down low and then just jetpacked up top. So instantly then there was 3. Zap's fallen, Koi has fallen, Shopify Rebellion. This might be the end of their game. Zainu considered getting the res, but now here comes the push. That's it. It's done. Shopify Rebellion will not be able to fight for first place here. So our eyes turn towards JD Gaming. Can they be the ones to catch up S2? It's going to be a disappointing end for Shopify Rebellion. Although it has been a better day for them, it's sadly not going to be a first place.
Yeah, better for sure, but where is the final standing going to be for them? Because they've gone out in the top first 3 teams to go. So a lot of points available in this lobby for the teams that were nestled in behind them in the leaderboards. And Shopify are just going to have to watch and prey on the downfall of those teams. Buckle Boys just playing in and around the jungle gym that is the inside of Somers University through some of these air vents. And having the caustic in this situation, certainly a very strong legend, just to deny anyone being able to take any easy space.
JDG then. Don't have the Valkyrie available, so there's going to be a lot of expectations for Floating to try and find a way in and a path in with this Wraith for them. They're currently, both chokes are being held here. Gamblers and Elite Esports are going to be holding these chokes, and as you said, it's pulling back west, which is great news for Stallions, who, by the way, have had a dreadful day by their standards. Anyway, we check on in. Lota's gone down. S2 could fall here if they're not careful.
Buckle's going to peek. Zach has his gun shield broken and his heart as well. He will go down. Carter's trying to survive here, and I tell you what, this is looking very, very interesting for the rest of the lobby, with the top 2 potentially falling in our first 5 teams. Carter has to try and survive here, but so many teams are here at Somers University. Surely he gets sniffed out.
You would have thought so, but at the same time, if he can survive just a little bit, get an extra point on the board via placement, that could be a big difference maker, because the gap is still quite large between themselves and JD Gaming. Even Sentinels, though, could be within a shout if we see S2 go down. But into the top 15, S2 will pick up 1 more point, so good job from Carter for staying alive, because as I said, that could prove to be vital. But JD Gaming have been able to move their way through with those kills and push themselves up to 51 points, which means they overtake Shopify Rebellion.
Well, here comes some of the Valkyries. You can see Sentinels in the sky, Team Burger in the sky, Stallions and Team Liquid, who have the best spots in zone at the moment, down on that southern side. Liquid kind of bunkered in down on the low ground, away from a lot of the teams who are going to be moving in from Somers. JD Gaming, they're throwing it in right now. They think that this is their play to win this game, or certainly get into a position for the end game. But 2 players have gone down. Floating goes back through the void and will be eliminated. Another one of our top runners out in game 6.
Yeah, suddenly our eyes turn towards Sentinels, maybe, who can come up with a big run here as Carter's still alive, up into the sky, and proving to be vital for S2's chances of winning today right now, because he's into the bike sheds and staying alive.
Revival eliminated. Another point for Carter. 13 squads now remain. Everybody, by the way, in Somers has to leave. If S2 and Carter can go unnoticed, he's almost guaranteeing a top 10 and minimum, as everyone else has to leave in the next few moments. Look at the kill feed. Trade. Gamblers eliminated as well. Burger eliminated as well. Sentinels trying to fight their way towards zone here. But they have ROC in front of them trying to peek out that bubble.
Yeah, Senna going to be the only real threat to first place, but with them going down as well, surely no one will be able to catch S2 at the top of the leaderboard. Blink trying to get the Phoenix off, but I don't even know if you're going to be allowed to have the time. Fun also falls, so Blinks are now going to have to escape. Now full 11 eliminated. There's that extra point for S2 that Carter's been able to provide by staying alive to the top 10. Stallions get the respawn onto Albrelelli as well. Could Crazy Thieves pull off an insane comeback? I think they might just be too far behind. It would have to be a mammoth game from them from this point, getting a lot of kills. I guess it's not out of the realms of possibility just yet.
Well, Blinks is going to have a rude awakening. That is him being tucked into bed, and a little bit of an early night for him. Sentinels eliminated. Team Liquid might be in a position to have a very strong finish to today, as Carter still does an incredible impression of a mobility device with 2 wheels. Nobody will guess that he's not a bike.
Even with a scan at this point, I'd be like, that's definitely a bike. There's no way someone will be able to sit there for this amount of time, as we turn our attention to Crazy Thieves, because they are the closest team to now try and catch up some of these lobby leaders. Remember, they're at 5th place, as you can see. 40 points, but Phony has gone down a little bit ahead of Jen Burton and Verhos here.
RC looking to wrap in behind them as well. Jen's trying to look if he can stick the res by the looks of things. Ninjas in Pyjamas, quiet day for them so far. Kurev with the Peacekeeper in his hand. He's still looking for some highlight plays. DKK will go down. GK, whatever you want to call them. I call them dead. They're out of the lobby. Jen now on his own, trying to punish Team Liquid and see if he can pick up some KP on his way.
See if he can pick up his teammate at this point. Is going to be able to find Phony on his feet, but how long are you going to be able to survive? Need to get the shield swaps at this point. Crazy Thieves, though, it's just all about survival. And sadly, they are being focused by everyone. They're down and we're into the top 5.
Carter's still alive for S2. This has been the easiest game of his life. Just watching everybody else cannibalize each other. Buckle Boys might be next. Crawbuckle jumps into the void, trying to survive, but he's got everybody around him. Everywhere he looks, not looking good. He'll jump into the zone. He'll jump back out again. He somehow survives. Kurev's going to be there. He's going to have a Peacekeeper as well. So this is not looking good. Finds at least a syringe. S2 are eliminated, but Carter, hats off to you, sir.
Yeah,
excellent cosplay.
Job done by this point. It puts them on 67 points. I'm not sure anyone left in the lobby has even the chance to catch them up at this point, but there is definitely the opportunity for Team Liquid to push themselves up these leaderboards. Now, with everyone ahead of them eliminated from the lobby, except Buckle Boys. So Buckle Boys and Team Liquid, now they can look to try and overtake the likes of Crazy Thieves, Sen, and maybe push yourselves up to like the Shopify Rebellion areas if you can win this game with kills.
See a Bangalore Catalyst here for Team Liquid as well, so they don't have a Gibby bubble, which could be a problem in this endgame. They have no way to eat up the defensive bombardments that will be coming their way. They will just have to essentially tank it if they do find themselves in that position. They're trying to catwall off the zone. Ninjas in Pyjamas looking to finish the day strong as well after a slow day. They have a chance here to win this game as well. By the way, Cole, 2.2k damage for him in this game.
Yeah, Ninjas in Pyjamas could jump a lot in this leaderboard if they were able to find a win here. And as I said, points are everything in the overalls. As now here come Liquid on this slightly different comp. Can they get the job done without a bubble? It looks like the answer might just be no, unless Sykes can go massive. He's doing a lot of damage, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough as Liquid eliminated in 4th.
Team Liquid just surveying the damage that's happening around them. Their catwall goes down as well, and they smell blood in the water here. Bubble goes down, which means they've got a place to play around, and that's going to be Free Thinkers going as well. It's Buckle Boys versus Ninjas in Pyjamas. It's actually Cruel Buckle versus Ninjas in Pyjamas. They close out the day with a win, restoring confidence, restoring belief. America's never disappoints. A great day of action.
I think Ninjas in Pyjamas just jumped from like 15th to 8th. They just had an insane game to find themselves, again, with points, which is important because they were #1 in the overall standings here in Americas, and they look to try and solidify that spot with just putting a consistent amount of points on the board. Very important when people are crumbling around them, but of course, we know what that means for the overalls in today's series, and Carter was the one who just pushed them over the finish line a little bit with his final moments for S2.
Yeah, very good stuff from Carter just to survive in those moments. It looked like it was going to be one of those heart palpitation inducing games for S2 as they were at the top of the leaderboard, thought they had everything done for, maybe going to fall out early, open the door for someone to have a monster game, but Carter just makes sure to calm the nerves a little bit by ratting out into that top 5 position. But NIP, we hadn't seen much of them today. It was finally good to see them join the party here. 8KP, 12k placement points, 20 points in total for them.
Yeah, again, they just show what they are capable of, and we have to remember that NIP are a serious threat in this region. In fact, they are the best team in the region at the moment if you look at the overall leaderboards, Glitter, and they remind us once more with a victory in match 6.
And we were waiting to see exactly that victory and what they could bring to the table. Let's take a look at what that means for our overall standings on the day. You were saying how many places it could have potentially rocketed them up the leaderboard. It puts them in 8th. After that one win, tied with Liquid at 37 points. We talked about this all day, how important one particular match is when it comes to these leaderboards because of how close these lobbies have been. And so, Mark, that was definitely huge for NIP as far as even trying to maintain that top spot in the overall.
Yeah, a very impressive day for them. I think that they'll be very happy with not just how the day's gone, but just the consistency of the performance across the day. A lot of end games, a win in there as well. Everybody producing the goods as well when it came to damage and kills. And when you look at the overall standings as well, it boosts S2 up into 2nd place now, and they are nestling in behind NIP, who have played the same amount of series. Just a 10-point gap between the two. Another bad day for NIP, and I'll tell you what, S2 will be thinking that maybe they can steal something away here.
Dan, as the numbers guys, where do you start looking as we continue to make our way even further into the split when it comes to the current Pro League standings?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for a lot of these teams that are down in like you look at 28 through 30, and they need to be absolutely destroying the remaining of their games. Otherwise, we might be saying goodbye a lot sooner than expected. I guess the biggest disappointment today, if you look at the points gained and positions where they find themselves, probably Stallions. They had a real opportunity to try and like catch up the likes of NIP on the overall standings today, and keep themselves ahead of people like ROC, Falcons, Burger, but they dropped the ball a little bit. It wasn't like the Stallions we've seen so far, and it does just show that everyone can bleed. No one is perfect at the moment, and if you have one bad day, it just opens up that opportunity for other people.
Well, we've been talking about them all day. Let's do a little bit of a comparison here for Stallions. We really hyped them up at the beginning of the day. because they were doing so well. And this is a match day 4 and match day 5 performance comparison here, Mark. This is similar to what we saw at a full 11, a bit of a fall off.
I know you're laughing at the same thing I'm laughing at, right?
It's because Albrelli's mood is reflected in his picture, depending on what the finish has been in the day. Very good work from production, understandably. Skill cakes, just level-headed as always. But yeah, I mean, it was a really rough day for them. It just felt like one of those days where nothing went their way. There was a little bit of bad luck, maybe a bit of frustration starts to build off the back of that as well. I know that there was a little bit of a team should we say, in-team fighting during the week as well, which maybe affected the confidence coming into today. But that's one of those days I think you just write off as like, look, nothing went our way today. Let's not worry about it too much. Let's move forward. We've done some good work so far. We've shown what we can do. On to the next match day for Stallions. I think they've shown so far this split that they have the potential and the ability to have good days again and bounce back.
Yeah, and that happens sometimes in Apex Legends. It can be unpredictable. Sometimes things don't work your way. But if we're talking about individuals, as we take a look at our Sony in-zone kill leaderboard, we got a chance to look at it a bit earlier, and it is Zach Mazer at the end of the day with 16 kills, who puts himself at the tippy top of this, which just reflects just how strong of a performance overall S2 really had, Dan. I mean, love that this is what we're seeing out of this trio.
Also, shout out the Longbow for making the appearance on the kill leaderboard as well for the weapon meta. But yeah, we have to give so much credit for not just the performance of the entire team, but Zach Mazer as the IGL also putting up the numbers with the kills. An incredible day for them, whether it came down to their in-game positioning, their rotations, or just their pure fighting ability. They had a little bit of everything today. It was one of those days where once they found their confidence through their first victory, they just kept soaring higher and higher. And they found 2 wins today, which again is not something that is easily achievable at the moment in Pro League with how difficult some of these games are to find consistency across the board. So massive congratulations to S2 and in particular Zach Mazer as the MVP really of the day.
Love to see this here for Zach. We get to see the damage numbers as well. And honestly, I know we talk about how hard it is to be consistent here in Apex Legends in general, but look at these top finishes. This is something that we like to see, even if you get those back-to-back wins. Another top 5 towards the end. I'm almost counting the 17th place as the outlier to start the day off, Mark, because we saw what they were capable of regardless of that.
That is a very consistent day. Yeah, that is a fantastic day in Apex Legends as it currently stands. You know, 17th is a dud game. It is what it is. But first, ninth, 5th, every single game in the top 10, 3 of those games in the top 5 with a win. It's a fantastic day. I think if you offer that to any team, they will take it. It is really an impressive all-round performance today from S2.
Well, he got the top of the kill leaderboard. S2 in general absolutely smashed it on the day. So, of course, we had to get Zach in here to chat with us after that performance. Zach, welcome back. It's good to see you again.
It's good to see you guys too.
All right, let's get into it because you guys looked phenomenal today. Talk to me a little bit about this roster on S2 and what went right for you guys in the series.
Well, I mean, we had 2 massive wins today, right? And in those 2 massive wins, it felt like everything was just going, you know, according to plan, right? I felt like I was making really good calls and my teammates were capitalizing on every single KP opportunity, complementing those calls. And the moments that we had to make really hard decisions in both of those wins, there was 2 really tough fights that led to both those wins. And both of those fights, my teammates went absolutely insane. I mean, their mechanical skill was shining so bright in those games. So couldn't be more grateful to have them on my side.
Zach, I want to talk to you a little bit about communication with these guys because it's very interesting for me. Like, I think I know you quite well as an IGL at this point. Listen to a lot of the games and the calls that you make. You can be quite intense in big moments, right? You get loud, you like to show some passion, but I feel like the 2 teammates that you have are a little bit more level-headed, a little bit more calm, a little bit just more naturally personality-wise, kind of on a lower level. And they seem to bring you down to like a level where everything you're there saying is very, very clear to them. Do you feel like that as kind of their personalities have rubbed off on you a little bit when it comes to how you're calling in game?
I would say I'm just as intense as I was before, but I would say that them being a little bit more calm, it definitely does help, right? Because, you know, if the environment gets too intense, then it becomes a little bit like almost like frantic and it can get messy and people are, you know, more likely to make a mistake. So I think them being more calm and me being really intense gives us a lot of momentum in those moments where we need it to just, you know, pull off a crazy play. And they have a lot of, you know, delusional confidence in the things that I'm telling them. And they do a great job.
Zach, are you moving in or moving out? What's going on with the basement right now? I see cardboard behind you. We need some extension cables. Where are you in your house?
Well, that's a mouse pad that I bought very recently because I left mine in Serbia when I boot camped for EWC. This is an upstairs like little theater room. I got a bunch of miscellaneous stuff in here. I don't like to do a lot of decorating or like a lot of stuff like that. I like my room to like stay as like my work room. Like when I'm in this room, I want it to be like intentional. The downstairs is decorated. It's beautiful. Go sit on the couch, hang out with the dogs, watch TV, whatever it may be. But up here, it's like this.
It's a vibe and it's working for you, and certainly put you in a good position today to find those 2 victories. You guys were incredible, Zach. It's always great to talk to you, so we appreciate you very much. Lauren, let you take over.
Look, I just want to ask a little bit about your thoughts on the current meta. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of mainstay legends that are starting to get picked or banned specifically at the same time in order. But we also saw a big difference when we took a look at APAC earlier on in the EMEA show, where Maggie was getting banned out second much earlier than what we're seeing here in the Americas and EMEA. How do you feel like your team is slotting in with the current meta? And do you like the way that, you know, things are kind of shaking out right now?
I think my team's, I would say that we're good in the current meta. I wouldn't say that we're great. I think one thing that we're really working on is our communication and our ability to be on the same page, because even if you're not playing necessarily the best legends possible with the bans, as long as you're making a good, confident play that makes sense, you're all on the same page, it can still work, right? So I would say that we're good at this meta. And with the communication that we're developing, it's allowing us to, you know, play other legends or adapt to certain bans and start playing new things. And yeah, we'll end up being great at those other things too. But we're just taking it step by step, trying to get our fundamentals and our structure as solid as it can be, right?
One final question for me, Zach, is how good does it feel to be back on top? Because it's been you know, an interesting year for you, I would say, as a player. At one point, you kind of, it felt like you couldn't find a team. It felt like you were being a little bit disrespected as an IGL, in my opinion. And then you had to go and find some young talent. And then all of a sudden, here you are back on top. Does it feel good?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've talked about it publicly on my own platform, so I don't mind telling you if you're unaware. But yeah, I mean, it was a big bummer to be, you know, probably the best team in the world heading into champs, and then the Falcons blow up and steal my boys. And I'm glad that they're both doing really well, amazing people. But yeah, and then, you know, I was looking for team, and I did have plenty of offers. I ended up accepting one offer and told all the others that I am joining this team. And then that team stole the offer back, you know, a couple hours before roster lock, which kind of left me stranded for champs. And that was why I didn't play. So, you know, tough times, that shit happens. You know, you never know the cards that you're going to get dealt. That's why I didn't get to play at champs. And, you know, that was a big bummer for me, because I felt like that was an opportunity where I would have had a really high placement. And, you know, you got to take that one on the chin and show up next Pro League and do the best I can. And, you know, playing with Lauder and Carter, I really feel like I have the opportunity to build something great with them. I already am very confident that I am like top 3 IGLs in NA. I have absolutely no doubts about that in my own mind. It's just, you know, proving it to other people and feeling confident and consistently making the right call that I'll keep working at individually.
And you mentioned your teammates briefly there, Zach. Lota in particular, I've been watching his POV. Crazy how he's developing at the moment. How is it seeing a kid like that develop in this way and turning into, like, in my opinion, one of the best fraggers around at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I hope my teammates feel some sort of similar about me in a sense, but I feel like the dynamic we have right now is truly incredible. The growth that Carter and Lauder have seen in the past 3 months is probably, you know, things that we've seen in like very few players in the history of Apex. The growth out of Carter and Lauder has been incredible. Lauder's going bullet for bullet with players that, like, you know, you never thought would go bullet for bullet with, right? Same with Carter. Carter's starting to step into a very verbal role, right? Where Carter's also just an incredible fragger, and their cohesion with, you know, my intensity and my ability to communicate, my understanding of the game, it allows Lauder and Carter to find, you know, all these kills and these environments. It's such a great growth environment, and I really am so proud of both of them. Like, and I know that they see it in their own gameplay, how much better they are than they were just at champs. They're both incredible players right now.
Well, you know, we love seeing you succeed. I mean, and now you get top kill leader on the day, 16 kills, highest damage on your squad as well. I mean, you've got to feel good about where you are, not only as an individual now, but with this trio. So I guess as a team, you know, what are the goals now that you guys have clearly found a rhythm and you're working so well together and you are currently at the top of your game?
I mean, you were asking about how we find our rhythm? Sorry.
No, like what are your goals now that you have found yourself at the top? Like you as an individual being at the top literally, and what are your goals? But then even for the squad, like what is like the ultimate goal here?
Well, for me, it's all about consistency, right? When we talked earlier, we talked about like foundation and structure and like trying our best to avoid the simple mistakes as often as we can. So that we have the privilege and the ability to make harder plays and nitpick and find crazy small mistakes in these crazy plays, right? So yeah, it's definitely the next step for us, right? I feel like we're nowhere near a solid foundation yet, but we're like working really hard at it, and we will get there a lot sooner than people expect with the effort that they're putting in at the moment. Yeah, I feel like that's the next step for us. As far as like achievements, I'd really like to finish Pro League in the top 3. Obviously, everyone's goal is to win.
Yeah.
But for me, the most important thing is going to be consistency. My whole goal this year is like every LAN, I would love to be top 5, right? Both Pro Leagues, I would love to be top 3. I think that's really, really, really feasible for like where I'm at in my career and how well I understand the game and, you know, the mechanical skill of the current teammates I have. I think that's very realistic, and I'll have to continue to work my ass off to make it happen, but it's something that's possible. So that's it.
Well, you absolutely did that today. Do you have another thing you want to say, Mark?
I just said hell yeah. It's great.
All right.
It's good to hear.
Oh, yeah.
Good to see you back, buddy. Honestly, it's good to see you back on top.
Yeah,
I mean, we could sit here and gas you up all day. You know that we love you here on the broadcast. So congratulations on a phenomenal individual performance, a phenomenal team performance. And we're excited to see what you could do with the rest of the split. Before we say goodbye, do you have any shout outs that you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, major shout out to my teammates, including my coach, Eros. I mean, Eros is a huge voice for me to, you know, vent to and talk things through and make things, you know, as clear as they possibly can be for the team. He puts in a lot of effort behind closed doors that a lot of people don't see. He's obviously a great vibes guy, and he keeps the team in a healthy environment when I get a little bit too intense, right? And then the other shout out would definitely be to my teammates. Lauder's putting in unbelievable amount of work. I think the work ethic from Carter and Lauder at this moment in time is probably harder than 99% of players outside of maybe House. So it's huge shout out to them. They're the reason that we achieved this today single-handedly. So proud of everyone involved in the camp. Thank you guys.
I love it. Well, thank you again, Zach. Congratulations on the day, and we'll be speaking soon.
Yep. See you guys.
Always.
I feel kind of bad.
The fat person in me thought that was a pizza box, by the way, in the back of
that's
that.
the thing. I feel bad because I was like, hey, you know, you're moving in, you're moving out. I tried to crack a joke, and he was like, no, I want no distractions, and this is why I haven't decorated. Everywhere else in the house is nice. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a great answer. They shut me down. I'll be quiet. I'm sorry. Sorry, Papa Zach. But honestly, a great interview. To hear about his lows and his highs and how he's been able to battle through everything, but then also now with his teammates, hearing the dedication, the time they're putting in. If you compare their dedication to Hal, that just shows how much time they're putting in, right?
100%. And always nice to speak to him because he's so eloquent. He will break everything down, explain everything, so we kind of really understand where they're coming from. And it resulted in a phenomenal performance on the day for them today. So well done to S2, but that means we're done now in America's. Thoughts on the day, Mark?
Another day where, you know, storylines write themselves, I feel like, at the end of it. You know, we were saying, what is going to happen to Shopify? That was a big story coming into it today. We've seen the best performance by an absolute mile from them today, and they will be maybe a little bit heartbroken it didn't go a little bit better with their final game performance, and it could have to what if, right? But they are back. They do look like the Shopify of old, and that's exciting. S2 look like a different type of team now. They're not just a team we're saying could qualify for LAN. They could be a team who's winning Pro League and be challenging for LAN championships. It's a long way away. Of course, there's still a lot of games to play, but we are starting to see those places and what teams are coming into form at just the right time. I think the second half of this split is going to be an incredible watch. And when it comes to qualification, it's tough to read who's going to make it at this point still.
Right? I love that.
Match day 6 coming up. I believe after match day 6, you get another roster lock as well. I think there's another potential for team changes that can happen prior to Pro League finishing. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some changes happening and a little bit of a whirlwind. I do think it's interesting that Zach was talking about consistency, because when you look at Stallions from 1st to 20th, like we had mentioned before, it's so difficult to stay consistent across different groups competing because the gameplay changes, the meta changes, the legend bans changes. So if you can be one of those teams who's constantly finding top 5s, sometimes that might be better than just winning and then losing the next Pro League. So I do think that Zach's interview said a lot about how teams should be progressing and thinking about their goals moving forward. But I had a great day. I also learned that I've got to be careful with my words because I might upset my friends. But ultimately, I know that you both love me too, so that's all that matters.
Of course we do. Of course we do. Right, Mark?
He's all right.
Say it.
He's all right. He's fine. He's fine.
All right, it was a really fun day, to be fair. And of course, like Dan's mentioning, we've got a lot of chaos coming up around the corner. And now one of those things is our match day 6, okay? So make sure that you are tuning in for match day 6 for EMEA, which will kick off at 6 p.m. BST, 1 p.m. ET, 10 a.m. PT, which will, of course, then be followed by the Americas later on in the day. And you have to make sure that you come back then to see what happens, because after match day 6, there will be a short break in Pro League. So you have to make sure that you get your ALGS fix in while you can. Until then, go hop into some games of Apex, so you try out some ranked games, and we'll see you back here next weekend, Legends.